Me. Okay. So don't run to those phones. Look at the phone. Oh, wait a minute. One just lit up. Now, it was a lot more exciting when it was blank. But now it may take a little while to get all of this off my chest, okay? But you finally reach a point where you've taken enough crap, and you say, hey, this is going to stop. Now, I don't know how many people heard the insipid garbage that was on this radio station yesterday afternoon. And I'm being very kind when I use the word garbage. It always shocks me how many different ways. I will say this, that the various hosts in this market. See, I mean, if I'm going to sit here and rip Alice or somebody on another station, that's great. That's fun. We have a lot of good fun doing it. We don't make a whole show out of it. In fact, we rarely do it for more than a few minutes at a time. And we never invite the audience to participate, although once in a while, some of our spies will participate, or there'll be a cute shot here and there, but we don't orchestrate an entire... Would you shut that stupid thing off? Come on. You can't say that. Oh, he said shut it off. Shut it off. That's what he was saying. I thought he said something terrible. Because that word would have applied very well to what I heard yesterday for 4 hours. And everybody's been getting along real well, and I thought everybody had their place in life under control. We all do our own thing. And I think I've said several times that one of the joys being on this station is that it's not like you're holding up the whole operation like we were at certain other places. It's like everybody's got their own very large audience. Mike's got his own unique, wild, huge audience in the morning. And we certainly have got that going here in the midday. There's no question about that. The amount of mail that reached the hernia that he got from that mail should indicate something. And Steve has got a big audience in the afternoon, and Sports Talk's got its own thing. And, there's a certain amount of crossover, but I got to be honest with you, I don't think it's all that great.
Really?
I really don't. No, I really don't. Which is fine. Mm-hmm. I mean, if it was a struggling station, if I can use that word, then it's a different story. But it's not. It's a station that's only going to get better and bigger and have a big audience, assuming, of course, that each individual can put his or her ego in its proper perspective.
Oh.
And be a part of a whole team as opposed to something else.
Ego.
But I started to say that it's amazing to me over the years how many different ways people can twist and manipulate so as to orchestrate the audience into an entire program of Neil Rogers bashing. Now, one thing I'll say about Stan, and I spoke to Stan this morning, by the way, and he and I are very good friends and always will be, but, we've had our moments, and Stan is okay, and hopefully he'll be back on the air like he should be someday soon, somewhere. But I remember that one show that he did over at Wynn's when we were on Zeta, but at least one thing, he was honest about it, okay? He went on the air and he said, we're going to bash Neil for 4 hours today, which I never have forgiven him for. It was a tasteless, grotesque thing, and it was his intentions, I don't think, were for the way it turned out, but naturally, once you open up the door for that, it becomes self-evident what's going to happen. And it takes no talent to do that. I mean, that takes no style or flair or talent whatsoever, is to preside over an entire program where the purpose is just to invite the audience to bash a particular individual, whether it's another talk host on your own station or whatever it might be. I just can't I can't imagine going on the air and saying, okay, let's rip Lee Fowler today for 4 hours, okay?
Never done it.
We've never done it. Never invite anybody to call in and rip other talk show hosts, although, as I said, some of them do. And usually, when I do it, not always, but usually, like with Lee, for example, I don't have any hard feelings with Lee Fowler. He's a pretty good guy, and when he used to call us, we used to have some good fun on the air, and I harbor no ill feelings toward him one way or the other. I mean, he did destroy or help destroy W Snooze, but it wasn't done out of malice, it was done out of incompetence, okay, and there's a big difference. No, seriously. Now, see, there you go again with that cackling. Man, they ripped you an ass yesterday, and I'm telling you, if you would have heard any of it, you would be apoplectic.
I'm so glad I was busy yesterday.
Now, the one thing that we've done consistently since I came here, somebody calls in and wants to rip Mike, wants to rip Steve, I tell them very quickly, goodbye. Call them if you got a problem, okay? We're not going to play that game. And I don't sit and listen to 10 minutes of it and then turn around and say, well, gee, you got it all wrong and it's really unfair, because that reminds me of what Shirley Spellerberg used to do when I was at KAT many, many moons ago when I first came to the market. And she would let somebody just rip me and, just do an assault, a personal assault and every kind of slanderous crap in the world. And then after they'd been on for 5-10 minutes rambling and hating and spewing, she'd say, oh, let's not talk about him. Let's talk about something intelligent. But, of course, now she let them get out, when they totally ran out of steam, had no more venom to spew, at that point, she would say, oh, well, we didn't really want to do that. But she made a point of letting it all go on the air. And what I heard yesterday, which allegedly was a discussion of this movie Talk Radio. Now, it's kind of difficult to have a discussion of a movie Talk Radio because nobody's seen it. It isn't out yet. There's been private screenings, which some of the people in the media, including Steve, have seen it. Yeah. I haven't seen it.
No.
But how can anybody discuss it or the character in it when they haven't seen it? I mean, I discussed Rain Man after I saw it, and it had just come out a short time, and it took a while.
Sure.
Because not too many people had seen it yet, but at least it was in the theaters, which is a good start. What followed thereafter was nearly 4 hours of bashing Neil Rogers and Glen Hill. Now, one of the things I kept hearing is that this program has no substance. Now, these are all these great pseudo-intellectuals out there who are so bright, and we love those topics, and that show is just garbage, which, of course, if that's the case, then they don't need to be listening to it, because we're not changing. We're not changing. And I love the way Steve likes to engage some of his callers in this, oh, yeah, Neil was the greatest when he used to do those topics, and I wish once in a while he'd go back and do that. It's not going to happen, okay? It just isn't going to happen. And some of you who are too immature to understand, this is a different show. There are no heavy topics in a Mike Ranieri show, okay? And if you told Mike, well, I think tomorrow you ought to come on and discuss brain surgery, he'd laugh at you, okay? Because he's not going to do it. He's very successful doing what he does.
And nobody complains about that. Amazing.
And we're very successful doing what we do here. And I hate to break the news to you, but when the Bird first came on the show back in the spring 2 years ago, all we had in the daytime was a 9 share on WINZ. It's all we had, a 9. 4 or a 5 is a good number, okay? A 9 is unheard of on AM radio. It's unheard of on FM radio, to be honest with you, except maybe for Life.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the morning on Zeta that year, when a lot of these old farts weren't listening, all we did was beat every morning show in the market. In the last book that we were there, every one of them, okay? Including some people who had been on the air for many, many years.
13.
Yeah. 25 to 54, we beat them. The last trend, we were at number 1, 18 to 34. Mm-hmm. I mean, for a talk show, regardless of what band it's on, to have those demographics, we had this huge audience. And I don't like to have to go through and repeat all of this because I don't like to do a lot of self-serving stuff. I really don't. And I find it terminally boring to hear people, one after another, these butt lickers calling in, this ingratiating thing. I've talked to you about this for years, where the callers feel they have to ingratiate themselves with a host. It's disgusting. But evidently, there's a lot of substance to it. No, evidently, because that's what I heard for 4 hours yesterday, and all these people are so disgruntled that there's no substance on this program, and you're cackling in my whatever it is we do here. Boy, they sure got a lot of substance yesterday. It was that juvenile Witchner-type stuff. I used to hear it over there all the time. I'd be driving home at midnight when I worked at Snooze at night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jer, how come you're so nice and he's so mean?
I mean, it's for these people who are going through their second childhood. And most of them were pretty old, too, by the way, most of the callers. There was one 20-year-old pinhead who was, singing the virtues of the Alan Burke Show and how it was so much more interesting than this one. Well, because Alan used to have topics.
Oh, my God.
See, a lot of this IOD audience, and I've been saying this for many weeks, and I try not to say it too often, because naturally, if somebody enjoys the show, it's fine. We don't care where they come from. Oh, yeah, we got that idiot calling it again. I can dish it out, but I can't take it. Let me say it again. I can take all the ripping and the abuse by people on other stations, which doesn't mean I'm not going to give it back, because if it is worthy of it, I will. But not on this station. Not on this station. And not to let people go on for 5 and 10 minutes and put some of them on hold and carry them over and ripping and tearing and telling us what we ought to be doing and what we should be doing. That's not a talk show. That's not substance. It's not a talk show. It's not anything but swill. Okay? And as I've said before, and this includes Cy Hirsch, the insurance guy out there who called in again yesterday, which prompted me to call at about 20 to 5. If you don't like the show, don't listen. And I just had a guy before I came on the air who knows Cy very well and tells me he listens every day.
Of course. They all do. Every one
And
of
yet
them.
this man is so filled, and he started out with this particular call, which is what really got me. That's when I had to call on the bat line. And he started out about how, well, no question, the two shows are different. Steve Neal does one thing and you do one, like he was an objective caller. And then he started ripping into you about a cackling idiot and that kind of crap. Mm-hmm. And then by the end of the call, he had worked his usual venom and hysteria and emotion up to the point he was just mouth breathing with his hate. But the man can't stop listening. He's been calling in with hate calls for I don't know how many years. And this applies to anybody else out there. If you don't like the show, we don't need you. Go away. It's the only show in this community, I'm sure, maybe in America, where people are invited to go away. Because I don't want to punish you. I don't want to hurt you. If you are harmed by the show, if you're wounded by the show, if you're insulted by the show, if you don't understand it, if you're disappointed, if you feel there isn't any substance, that we ought to be talking about some real original things like capital punishment and have a few rabbis on, forget it, because it isn't going to happen. But don't waste your time and the good airtime calling to ingratiate yourself with another host so that you can rip this show for 5 or 10 minutes and rip Glen for 5 or 10 minutes. If you don't like him, tough luck. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be here, okay? And he does a lot more than just laugh, but you only hear, some of you, what you want to hear.
That's correct.
You only hear what you want to hear. And you're all experts. What time are your shows on, okay? All you experts out there, when the hell is your show on? You're such experts out there on programming and radio.
When you get your show, you can have any sidekick you want.
Exactly.
Anybody
you can have
you want.
Nadine, the outer space queen, on. Whatever you want, okay? And I hear a lot of these mouth-breathing goofballs out there. All they got to do is hear a voice on the radio. Right away, they've got one hand in their crotch and the other with a finger somewhere. I mean, some of you people are pathetic. It's just a radio show. That's all. Just a radio show. And like I've always said about the chronic regulars, where they got no life, they got a real problem. A real problem. I've never encountered any chronic regular over the years that I've been on the air, and that's almost 30, who didn't have serious, serious problems. Because to those people, it's not just a radio show, it's their life.
That's right.
And I got news for you, baby. It's a job to me. And when I walk out of here at 2 o'clock, by a minute after, I don't remember a goddamn thing that happened in the previous 4 hours.
As soon as I push the door,
that's like closing the door on the program. It's a job. It's a radio show. And the other ones of you out there who think you're set like this miserable bag that called in, who was allowed to go on at great length. Well, she works with people and she knows human nature. And oh, that Neil, he's so hateful and he's so full of hate. Yeah, that's why we raised $35,000 to $40,000 for the Camilla's house, okay?
Oh, they didn't talk about
that? They somehow left that out.
Are you serious?
And the overwhelming majority of that money, by the way, came from the morons who listened to this radio show, okay? I know that nobody with a brain could ever listen to this show. Nobody with any humanity could ever listen to this show. But it must come as a great shock to you that the overwhelming majority of those dollars came from the listeners of this program. It's 20 minutes past 10 at WIOD. I got a lot more to say, but we got to do a break. You know, life goes on. Life is not just monologues alone, as Bob Lassiter would say. Now, we got the time straightened out here. It's going to be noon to 3, a week from this Saturday, the 14th of January, that Steve and I are going to be at Toyota of Hollywood.
Now, more with Neil Rogers on News Talk Radio 610, WIOD.
We're here in Homestead to show you that miraculous new product, Polyderma. We picked the oldest lady we could find and applied just a little dab of Polyderma on her, rubbed it in real good, and just look at the amazing results.
Oh, my. I look and feel like I'm 20 again.
But wait, let's put Grandma through 50 consecutive washes.
No, wait, no. Oh, heavens. Oh, my.
Hours later, we'll dry her off, and she's still as young looking as ever.
Ooh.
And just look at that shine. Polyderma is made from an exclusive formula, X-Out 60 Plus, that combines the facial molecules and leaves you with young-looking skin again, and gives a hard coating that lasts and lasts for weeks. Polyderma. Caution, too much Polyderma applied at one time can create undesirable results.
Grandma.
Polyderma.
What was that?
Well, we had to chop the end off because it talked about the station this was originally on years and years ago. That was our friend Caprita. He used to be
the way that it just died.
Well, it talked about Gloves 94, and we didn't want to leave that on there.
But why not eliminate it starting at polyderma before that word?
Oh.
As opposed to like in the middle of polyderma.
It wasn't quite like that, but sorry.
Oh, boy. I'm going to start screening these ahead of time, although we do appreciate getting them on cart because we don't have any place to dub all our material, so we got stuff always in the hopper, that we'll hear someday if we live long enough. But
yeah, we need everything on cart.
Yeah, so when you send us material, go steal some carts from some radio station and make sure we get them on cart. By the way, the number one primetime TV show last week, according to A.C. Nielsen, the Karen Carpenter story.
I'll be darned. That's a surprise.
Now, I know we have no substance on this program, but it seems to me we discussed that. Even played some Carpenter music at length one day, the day after it was on. And it seems to me that if somebody objectively listened to the show, even though we don't do topical radio, far from it, and we don't claim to, that actually, even by accident, we get into a lot more topics than some of the shows where they claim to be very heavily topical-oriented, where every time they have open phones, basically it turns out to be a breast-beating, how wonderful I am, or let's rip Neil for 4 hours.
What is your favorite Steve Kane show, by the way?
It's 10:27 at WIOD. No, I just, I got to be honest with you. I knew that the day was coming sooner or later, and it just happened. It just happened yesterday, and I've restrained myself long enough, and I keep hearing it. I hear it in bits and pieces. And even yesterday, somebody called. In fact, I think it was the first call yesterday, right out of the box, and they started wanting to rip Steve. I said, knock it off. Okay, I don't want to hear it. And I don't.
Right.
I don't want to hear it. It sucks. And as far as dishing it out, you're damn right, boy. Anybody else in the market who does not work on this station, I'll be delighted to rip most of them, because most of them deserve it, okay? There are a lot of amateur hour people on the air in this market. It's a Bush League town, with a lot of Bush League listeners, too, and especially Bush League callers. And listening to some of those voices and then hearing Cy, I mean, that was just the crowning blow to me. That was just the straw that broke the moose cow's back. Incredible.
So most of these were old?
Most of them were old, yeah.
Who are forced to listen, who have frozen dials.
Up in years. I would say 45-plus crowd. I'm not saying 45 is old because I'm 46, but I mean most of them were well up there. And that's another thing that they seem to be having a little culture shock and going through, and I don't give a damn what anybody here says. The name of the game in this business is 25 to 54. That's the demographic that people want. If you have people younger than that, that's fine. And if you have some older, that's okay too, but nobody buys those people, okay? We don't have any Polident commercials on this radio station, and we aren't going to have any, okay? We don't even have Effordent. And so I know it's a little painful, and like when I tell Nick, I don't want to keep hearing these old voices, and I don't want to hear them. I really don't. And I hear too much of that on this radio station, and that's one of the things that they brought us over here for, was to bring some living and breathing people back to AM radio under the age of 100. And it's got to happen. Because you're never going to maximize your potential. And this is a business. I hate to break that news to you. It's a business. You're never going to maximize your potential when you're dealing with people 100 years plus. It just ain't going to happen. It's not the audience that anybody wants. I mean anybody. And I also notice, the audience has always got to do this pitting the one against the other. I mentioned that when I called Steve on the air yesterday. They just love to do that, especially in this market, because they're like little children. And they have to create this hostility and then sit out there and take the joy. And, oh, look at this, they're fighting, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is what they really love. And I noticed that when a lot of the callers would call and immediately ingratiate themselves with a host, but then so that they would have more time to be allowed to say, but the other one, he's so terrible, he rips the old people and it's disgusting. One guy even called in and made this comment about when I do the disclaimer about being an old fart, it doesn't necessarily mean age. He says that's like calling somebody a nigger, but saying that some of them are like white people or something like that.
What?
Yeah. And it was allowed to go.
Oh, gee.
And the response was, well, I don't really rag on old people that much. Steve's guest, by the way, today will be Jamie Swartz, the 9-year-old being kicked out of Viewpoint condos.
Who was on the Today Show this morning.
Part 2 about
Nationwide
the old
TV.
farts and the prunes. I keep hearing that word coming up in the afternoon, prunes, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a thing we got in there, prunes a lot, or is that boobs a lot? But anyway, that's the subject. And it's amazing to me, but it seems to me when I hear that shows, and I commended Steve yesterday, and I'll do it again. I think he's doing a great job on that subject. It's picked up national exposure. It is a disgusting thing. And that's the syndrome we talk about. So it's got nothing to do with who's nicer to old people or who's stereotypes. It's got to do with the reality of life here in South Florida. And when somebody is doing a series of shows on the very subject, but then would like to suggest that it's only Neil who rags on the old people, then there's got to be something very wrong somewhere, okay? Somebody isn't listening to the sound of his own voice. All right? So I think, it's easy to be lazy. And I'm going to be honest. People think, well, these guys come in here, they do no preparation, they don't have to read the papers, they don't bring up topics. We had a guest yesterday, and we probably won't have another one for 6 to 9 months. Tom's always a fun guest, but we don't have guests, basically. But it's not easy to come in every day and to try to do different things and to try to get people in a good mood and get them laughing, especially in this town where everybody enjoys being miserable to begin with. And that's one of the reasons they resent your laughter, is because they can't stand hearing somebody having a good time.
Absolutely. Too bad.
Yeah, tough cookies, okay? Like I said, if you don't like it, goodbye. Right now, reach over to the radio, find something else. Put your hand somewhere else, okay? Find something else to occupy your time. But don't assume that because you're going to call up Steve, or you're going to do this, you're going to do that, we're going to change the show. It isn't going to happen. And we're not going to have a lot of serious guests on the program, or guest period. We don't do that anymore, all right? I did that for years. And I finally felt embarrassment. I looked back at my guest calendar and I realized I kept having the same damn people on over and over again. And one of the reasons that happens, this isn't New York or Los Angeles. This is a bush league. It's a big hick town. Who the hell are you going to put on the air in this town? There's nobody here. And that's why you wind up hearing the same ponderous people over and over and over and over again, to the point where you could just puke when you hear their name. Because it's boring. And the first sin in being on the air is boring the audience. Okay? 10:33 at WIOD, and I want to tell you about the Armadillo Cafe. Now, trust me, you don't have to trust me. Stop by there yourself, and you'll agree with me that this is one of the finest restaurants. No, we don't want to be bitter, Roger. 10:38 at WIOD. And it really, the people, and I guess people follow the lead of the host, okay? Because I did hear several of these people yesterday who were playing their little amateur psychology.
Oh.
And that bothers me, okay? Because it's this arrogant, condescending kind of view of life, like, well, I'm so an expert in life, and I have all the answers, and all this other crap. And like I've told you people before, you don't know a goddamn thing about any of the people you hear on radio or television. You don't know them. And just like I keep using the example of Sandy Payton, who came across as little Miss Sweet on the radio, sugar cookies, Michael, sugar cookies, and all that insipid, syrupy crap, and was, according to most of the people who worked with her in this building, one of the biggest pain in the butts who ever came down the pike in his business. So it goes to show you that what you hear is not what you get, okay? It's a radio show. It's an act. It's a shtick. And I hear these people going on and on. Oh, yes, he's filled with hate, and I've studied human psychology. You don't know crap, okay? You don't know from nothing. So, as I said, if you're disgruntled, if you're unhappy, don't waste your time with this show, okay? Go to your favorite show, stick with it, find something else to do the rest of the day, and we'll all live happily ever after, okay? But don't give me this song and a dance about how we have to be like Steve, or we have to be, because it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. In a million years, it isn't going to happen. Okay? And it wouldn't be good for the station for it to happen, because we don't want sameness all day. And for you, if you're excited about hearing the topics, that have been done 8 million times, more power to you. Okay? That's not my cup of tea. I'm not into it anymore. I'm not only not into doing it on the air, I'm not into even listening to it. Because I've heard it all. There's nothing more to be said about abortion. There's nothing more to be said about capital punishment. There's nothing more to be said about all the other list of tried and true topics that have been on. Why do you think on the TV talk shows now they come up with something more bizarre every day? Because they're burnt out, man. They got nothing left. Donahue mud wrestling in the middle of a ring with some wild women mud wrestlers? Whoever thought they'd come to the day they'd see that? But hey, like he said, if that's what it takes, that's what he'll do. because all the other stuff's been done 8 billion times. So if you enjoy the humor on his show, if you have a good time, if you enjoy the entertainment, and there are just a ton of people out there who do, great. And if you don't, go away. I wish you a happy life. I wish you no ill will, okay? Just go away. We don't need you. Because for every one of you, there'll be 5 or 10 other people who will discover it, probably by accident, or by word of mouth, and they'll replace you. And we'll all live happily ever after. But see, that's a problem in this town, because happy is not a word that's supposed to be there. Not happily ever after, miserably ever after. And don't give me this crap about how I generalize or how I stereotype, because the fact is that all too many of the old people in this community behave like barbarians. They behave in a way that is totally socially unacceptable, okay? Their driving, their behavior in restaurants, their rudeness, the way they conduct themselves on these shows. I honestly thought that WGBS had made a comeback yesterday. I really did. Because it sounded like that same old malcontent crowd again who didn't have anywhere else to go and suddenly found, that one share of the audience when they were on the air doing talk.
Yeah.
When Jefferson Pilot just aborted that radio station. Here's a station that had a 50,000-watt daytime signal, the best signal of any AM radio station in the entire state. And they were doing ones. Ones!
Kind of reminds me of a 100,000-watt FM that does the same thing.
Well,
for some reason.
that's another story.
It sure is.
But I'm talking about a station with a signal that could be heard over
the whole
2/3 of the state.
Yeah.
And they were doing ones. And that was Mr. Collins and Mr. Fowler in their infinite wisdom. Pretty sad commentary when you got that kind of a facility and you can't do anything with it, and then you got to go and buy a successful, already established station in order to have a winner. And of course, we see what's happened to that place during their reign, okay? But the rampant jealousy that exists in this community, in this business, that's what really gets to me. It's pathetic. It's embarrassing. And I've said this many times before, and I'll say it again. I don't care what anybody else makes. It doesn't affect me in any way. Like I told you, Mort Downey made $22 million last year. That's not an inflated figure. That's accurate. More power to him. If he made $52 million, I don't begrudge him a dime of it. Larry King has made a fortune since he gave them the good con job over there at Mutual, okay? He's probably making over $1 million a year. And with all of my negative feelings, and I got a lot of them about Larry and the things that he's done to people, in spite of all of that, I don't begrudge him a dime of it. I hope he makes $10 million, because people deserve it. Management jerks you around enough in this business. If you get a chance to make it, go for it. But I hope I got the message across, and I hope I don't have to do it again. And on those days when people haven't got a show, and to make any difference who it is, whether it was Stan on that infamous day. In fact, I used to make the comment, I wondered if he could, get through an entire show without mentioning my name, and it could never happen.
No, he couldn't.
It never happened.
Couldn't do it.
They couldn't do it. It's like a bunch of old hens. Bunch of old fishwives.
Oh, that Neil and the bird and the cackle and blah, 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 blah.
Well, what the hell kind of a show? Is that substance? Is that stimulating? Is that entertaining? Is that interesting? Again, if it happened in an isolated case, I guess it could be funny. It could be a lot of things. Happened for a couple of minutes. But to make an entire program of it over and over again? And then I heard the comment also made yesterday, and I guess it was in a tongue-in-cheek way, some caller about one of my listeners who came over and now listens to Steve. And the comment was, well, in spite of all the terrible things that Neil used to say about me, and I'm sure it was said tongue-in-cheek in humor, but the amazing part of it is there were a lot of things said about me before I came here on that show that were not said in humor at all.
No.
I can recall the show with Mr. X and Bob Kunst one day that I heard in the car, and I was in shock. I'm not talking just about a professional criticism or the guy's show sucks or whatever. I'm talking about the lowest, the basest, the most grotesque personal attack that I've ever heard. And see, I believe in this business you have to know where to draw the line. And you can have fun with things and you can joke about things. And if there are people with thin skin like Allison can't take it, that's their problem. That is their problem. But when you really start getting down, dirty, and personal and nasty, and when you don't even know what the hell you're talking about, as those individuals didn't, then it's a horse of another color, okay? But when I came here, I forgot all of that, or I attempted to. And I still intend to do my best to continue under those circumstances. But that doesn't mean I'm going to sit still for 4 hours of Neil Rogers bashing anytime somebody don't have a show or something else useful to talk about. Because I thought that audience were also erudite, also educated, also intellectual, that they didn't have to stoop to that, okay? That they could discuss all of these important things going on in the world. For example, the episode that took place with the Libyans the other day. I mean, you know, some people are wondering if we're going to have World War III because of that. It would seem to me maybe that would be something that would be discussed on a topical, intellectual show, as opposed to,
oh, that bird, he's disgusting, he's revolting, and I used to love to listen to Neil, but I can't anymore. What does he do?
One after another, ad nauseum. Disgusting, revolting, grotesque. And if I sound a little pissed this morning, I am, boy. I am foaming at the mouth. Because I'm getting tired of it. This show is not a subject of conversation on any other show on this radio station. They want to talk about us on the other stations, that's great. We can make sure they give the frequency and the time that we're on, okay? And mention the name a lot of times. Because there's still a lot of people don't know where we are yet. A lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
I ran into some young lady the other day. She said, never saw her before in my life. She said, love your show. My husband turned me on to your show, and he's really upset he can't find where you are. Doesn't know where you are.
God.
And I had to tell her. Well, there hasn't been a word about it outside the radio station. There hasn't been one word.
True. That's true.
Someday there will be. I'm sure there will.
Really?
If we live long enough, there will be.
Good.
Well, I'm going to get this all out of my system today anyway, because I'm just in a surly, squirrely mood about that stuff, you know. And I think we've been very... You know, again, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I think basically we've tried very hard to promote the other shows on the station.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't a day that goes by that we don't give many, many promos for Steve and what the guests are. And yeah, we'll have a little fun with it from time to time, but not in a venomous way.
Mm-mm.
I hope he gets a 6 or a 7 in the next book. I hope Mike gets an 8. And I hope we get a 9.
Absolutely.
Okay? I hope Sports Talk gets a 20. What do we care? That's great. That's what it's all about. But this very clever manipulation that goes on to orchestrate something. I mean, if you don't want to hear it, all you got to do is say, hey, we're not going to talk about it. That's all. That's what I do. People call in and want to rip Mike. If you don't like Mike's show, don't listen to it. He don't need you. He's got more listeners than anybody in the market in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
He's got more than he can handle, okay? He doesn't need you.
Same with
But
this
to
show.
hear that kind of behavior yesterday with that audience, man, and just a bunch of butt-kissing, butt-sucking, butt-licking douchebags that are just want to ingratiate themselves for the great opportunity of just ripping and shredding and tearing and again, jealousy, okay? And I got news for you. I hate to break the news for you. This show's going to be real successful on this station, just like it was on WINS, and just like it was on Zeta, and just like it was on WNWS.
Mm-hmm.
Real successful. Even without some of those who I'm sure turned the radio off 15, 20 minutes ago. Didn't they?
No.
They didn't?
See, that's what discourages
come on.
me.
You gotta be
Every
kidding me.
one of them is listening. That's what they will not
Masochists.
go away.
Masochists.
Folks, there's another talk show on at this time that does topics
Exactly.
every
and she
day.
is the sweetest, most wonderful lady. Just ask Roger. He'll tell you. She is the sweetest lady in the history of mankind. That's Sandy.
Why don't you give it a try?
Exactly.
Check it out.
You're going to love that stimulating man. Now, there's some substance, something you can sink your teeth into, okay, even if they're in a glass.
It's 790, okay?
That is correct. 790 on the AM dial. WOLD, all right?
Check it out.
Believe me.
Please.
Try it. You'll like it. You'll love it. And if you have trouble sleeping, man, you want a quick nap in the middle of the daytime, there's nothing better anywhere.
Absolutely.
Oh, we're not going to take another break this hour, right? Oh, fantastic, because I'm really full of it today. I mean full of it. I'm usually full of it, but more so today than ever. Because it gets pretty stinking ponderous, you know what I'm saying? That every time you turn on the radio, people are orchestrating, like, and I didn't hear it, but you told me about that show with Ernie, and then Johnny Dark gave me one version, and we had all this. But the bottom line is, Neil Rogers is not a topic for a talk show, any more than Ernie Sochin is a topic for a talk show. Maybe concentration camps are a topic. But see, that's the difference. I mean, to have a little fun with somebody as a throwaway or for a couple of minutes, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
To be like the band leader and to be whipping and flagellating the audience and on the one hand saying, oh, don't do it, but let him go on for 10 minutes and ripping and slashing and tearing, and that's just crap is what it is. Unadulterated, pure crap. So let me, again, and I thought we had already said a lot of this, let me say it again. We're not going to be doing heavy topics. We're not going to change the show for Steve, his listeners, or anybody else. It's going to be just what it has been for the last 2 years, with usually a much lower stress level. I don't know why I'm saying that because my head's about ready to blow off, but with a lower stress level and, like, livable, you know? And people want to have a good time and enjoy some of the stuff we play and the stuff we talk about. We're not going to be discussing brain surgery. We're not going to solve the problems of the world. On occasion, we'll do something worthwhile, like raising all of that money for Camilla's house or anything else worthwhile that comes along. We'll do our best. And that's it. This program is not the answer to the problems of the universe. It's a radio show. And I hate to break the news to you, the other programs aren't the answer to the problems of the universe either. Even though some people in their own egomaniacal minds may believe it, they're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. It reminds me of that Mike Siegel story I used to tell, you know, after we got the... and it was mostly his campaign. He deserved the credit.
Oh, yeah.
The local measured service thing defeated with a petition with Southern Bell.
Mm-hmm. So now what are we going to tackle next?
Seriously, the next night he came on, he was so... and, of course, this is a man totally humorless, totally without any sense of humor, takes himself 1,000 times too seriously. He used to do 6 to 8 at W Snooze before I came on. And he came on that night to announce, and he was breathless, flushed with his own success. And we beat the phone company, and now the next we're going to solve the problems of the medical problem, and then we're going to work on the problems of the legal profession, and blah, 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 blah. And he meant it. That was the frightening part. He wasn't joking. He was serious. I mean, now that he had pulled off this tremendous coup, he was now going to... and again, I guess that's fine. If you're one of those people who really want... who's a crusader, that's great. I used to do a lot of that stuff, too, until I realized I was talking to myself. Like that show with Dr. Tyson on cocaine. Hello, doctor, I'm taking Feldine. That's what this town is all about. So don't give me all this crap. Oh, you don't like old people. The bottom line is the majority of you who don't like me or don't like this show are bigots. Why don't you just admit it, okay? Because I heard some of that stuff in there yesterday, too. And you know something? I couldn't give a good goddamn less. If you're homophobic, then I'd look in the mirror because you probably got a problem with yourself, okay? Because what I do is none of your business, all right? What anybody else does, as long as they're not hurting anybody, it's none of your business. So don't try to intellectualize your bigotry. In fact, some of the mouth breathers who just blurt it out, you know. At least they're more intellectually honest than these pseudo-intellectuals who come on and are always giving us instructions in amateur psychology and telling us how we should be living, and at least you're normal, and blah, 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 blah. Stick it up your butt, okay? You morons. Don't start feeding me all this pseudo-intellectual crap, because that's all it is. You're just a bunch of bigots. And you just can't handle the fact that here's this middle-aged, bald, aging, fat faggot who's on the air in Miami saying any goddamn thing that he wants, who's been so successful and has got the top ratings in the market and just runs circles around anybody else on the air. You can't stand that, can you? It drives you crazy. Including some of the people at another station. I don't want to mention WOLD. Do I? Oh, I guess I just did. Anyway, let me just mention this because we promised Joe Johnson that we would mention it.
This is great. This is weird. I like this.
Yogurt or burst. I thought for a minute it said yogurt or bust. WIOD, we're almost at the end of the first traumatic hour here.
And every line's lit.
No. Somebody dropped off and they expired when I went into that last little burst there. They puked it out. So anyway, that's the bottom line. Oh, look at that. Nick's got those bizarre bifocals on today. Doesn't he look really pseudo-intellectual today?
That's for Steve's
What is that
show.
story?
That's prepared for
Steve's
show, yeah.
That's correct. We've got to get that pseudo-intellectual crowd. No, I'm serious. I have seldom heard, and I've heard a whole bunch of those shows, and a lot of them, by the way, have been on this station. Thankfully, however, mostly before we came here.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really think I'd hear it again. But yesterday's was one of the all-time greats. It was really incredible. Because it just never stopped. I mean, I would say that 3 out of every 4 calls basically were the same thing. And they kept saying that this show, all we did was the same thing every day. And each one of them was saying the same thing, including the ones who were bashing you. If they don't like you, tough. Goodbye. He's not going anywhere, all right? He's not leaving. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving, okay? So I know this is a tremendous shock to your system, and you're going to have to make a tremendous adjustment in your lives. But that's the way it goes. That's the way the cookie crumbles, okay? It is just a radio show. And that bag that was held on, she was held on through 2 breaks, through a newscast. She was on for half an hour. And I grant you, she was a little bit of fun. But she ain't fooling me. I know exactly where she's coming from and who's pulling her wheels, okay? I know what that call was all about.
We're going to do something about this.
Yeah, do something about it. Turn the dial, okay? Save yourself a lot of grief. Because nothing's going to change.
Oh, she's going to do something about it.
Yeah,
huh?
she's going to do something about it.
Oh.
Like stick her left arm all the way where the moon don't shine, okay? Up to her throat. She can tickle her tonsils, all right? But I have never heard such a whining bunch of crybabies in all my life as I heard yesterday afternoon, who just look, and it's always the same core of people who they just see the opening there and they seize any opportunity to keep repeating the same old crap over and over again. And as you say, the sad part, the part that is the most bizarre, the most ironic, is that they can quote chapter and verse of every word that is said. They are all listening right now as I speak and getting duly indignant and outraged. And great, I'm glad we provide you a service. Thank God that we're here, okay? What the hell would you do if I ever disappeared? You wouldn't know whether to scream or eat Chiquita banana, okay?
Oh.
So that wraps up our first traumatic hour. I feel just like Bob Lassiter now, doing one of those long, emotional monologues. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. And then every 90-year-old old fart would be on the phone.
Ah, you're right. I can't find my Polident.
They'd be gumming the phone as they were making guttural sounds with Bob. But anyway, I've seen it all, you know. And Gail Bright is standing by now. She's butched up her image a little bit. She's going to really do a tremendous job with the news. Well, she had that little problem on the show a couple of weeks ago, but I don't think she's going to be interfering in anybody's life at any time, ever, as a matter of fact.
Right.
She's got the 11 o'clock news, and we'll come back with hour number 2 at 11:05. Steve with Jamie Swartz and part 2 of that condo hysteria at Viewpoint Condos. That's at 2 this afternoon on 610 WIOD. Okay, now listen, if Gail is still listening in the newsroom, Gail, we want you to have a good day. It's 11:06 at WIOD. We're back for our second hour here on a wonderful Thursday. Everybody is happy and alive. Just heard an incredible Sandy Payton story, which we're not going to repeat on the air, nor will we divulge the source of the story, but it was really incredible. Anyway, moving right along, let's see this. Somebody expired in Broward during the news break, which is fine, because we haven't taken any calls yet, and may not, and did Boca disappear too? Good. Okay, 524 WIOD in Broward. There it goes. And Boca, 278-9463. 278 WIOD. And we'll start. And let me just say this. I'm going to preface it right now. This is going to be a Kane bashing show. If you think we're going to do that, you're crazy, because I'll hang up on you so fast you won't know what hits you. We don't do that on this show. And we shouldn't be doing it on the station. But as I said at great length, unfortunately, there are sometimes people come in, they really have nothing to talk about, and it's a very easy show, I guess, to, orchestrate Let's Rip Neil and the Bird for 4 hours, which is basically what happened here yesterday, until I called, and then all of a sudden there was kind of a change of heart about 10 minutes after the call.
Really?
Where are we going? Miami, hello.
Hello, Neil, how are you?
Great.
Cousin Glen, how you doing, buddy?
Cousin, I like that.
You like that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
What really amazes me about these people, Neil, is, and you really hit it right on the head, is all it is a radio show. I mean, what is everybody getting so... They got the easiest job in the world. They got to sit at home and listen. If they don't like it, hey, cruise over to Wynn's, hit the Quam, jam with Merle and Conway.
Jam with the Quam, that's it.
Hey,
listen, they might pick up on that. You might get some royalties. Jam with Quam, that's not too bad.
What's so hard? And all they do, these people are nothing but hypocritical, self-righteous douchebags.
Yeah, and then the thing that will amaze me is they'll call one host and they'll tinkle all over them, and rip somebody else. Then, like, in a half hour later, and I've actually heard this, half hour later you hear them on the show of the person that they were ripping doing just the opposite, because they want to hear the sound of their own voice on the radio.
Yeah, they've got, like, an incredible yearning to listen to a show that they hate so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They yearn to listen to something they hate. It doesn't make sense.
Well, good luck to them, sir. Trust me, they're all out there, everyone. Even Cy is listening right now.
I want to run a topic by you for the hell of it.
Okay.
David Brinkley.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm not one to usually bash the older people, but this guy is like, he deserves to be off the air, wouldn't you say?
Well, David died 10 years ago, but he's still, considering that, he's still doing pretty well. I like David Brinkley, but quite frankly, you're right. He ought to be.
He seems a little senile.
He ought to be in retirement, counting his money and having a good time. But he's like Martin Agronsky. Martin was on until his last tooth fell out, and then they finally sent Martin out to the pasture.
I was watching the guy during the elections, and I'm getting like fog around my eyes watching him, and his eyes are red, and he's blinking, and his skin's washed out.
Well, they're gonna NBC
looks terrible.
NBC's gonna hire him back. They're gonna put him on with Michelle Gillen and Walter Cronkite, and then they'll have Winkin', Blinkin', and Nod together again.
That's unbelievable.
Well, listen, have a wonderful day, and we'll tell.
You guys have a good life, all right?
We'll tell David you said hi.
Take care.
Okay. I like David Brinkley, but he's right. David should have retired a few years ago. It's like in baseball. Stan Musial hung around too long. Ted Williams knew when to quit, all right? He quit when he was on top. Stan Musial hung around too long, and it was embarrassing because it was a shadow of his former self, and it became pathetic watching a formerly great player trying to go out there and hit. He just couldn't do it.
I see.
So there are some, like Dukakis. He's now running again for governor. He knows he's a bomb, and he realized he made an absolute fool out of himself, and he's not going to run for president again. He just has to say that as a good excuse for why he's not running for governor again. And probably because he's afraid he's going to lose anyway. Although he did carry Massachusetts. Not by a lot. Oh, we have a radio celebrity on 7. Hello.
Neil.
Yes.
How you doing?
Okay.
It's Mark Mosley. How you doing?
Hey, Mark.
I got a classic old bag story for you. I mean, this one will put blue hair on your chest.
If I said...
Miami, hello.
Hello, Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
Okay, if you invite somebody to your house, you invite somebody into your house and you find that you don't like them, that you dislike them, would you invite them back again?
No.
No. Or would you invite them back and tell them how much you dislike them?
No.
So why the hell don't the people just turn the radio off and turn a different dial?
I thought I had said it. Maybe I somehow along the line missed it.
But you know what I'm saying?
No, see, the bottom line is they love it, but they don't want to admit it. See, they love it in a perverse way because they love to hate or whatever kick it is that they get. There's something there that they can't live without, but they don't want to admit that. So they have to keep going through this big harangue, and they feel once they do that, it lets them off the hook. It's almost like a guilt trip, but as long as they say that they hate me, then it makes them feel better, and it's some kind of an excuse for them listening.
Well, they could sleep better at night, probably.
It's like the bag that Steve had on for a half hour yesterday was going on about, well, she has to do her research,
Yeah.
She's doing research.
We got her research, but anyway, I got a problem. My problem is I can't turn it off because I like it. So I want to tell you, see you later. God bless you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
It is a phenomenon. They hate you. They despise me more.
Well, I had this interview. The fact the AP photographer, the young lady, was in here this morning, and they did a thing with some talk hosts around the country because this movie is coming out, talk radio, which I thought was the topic of yesterday's show, but nobody has seen it. But anyway, and she was asking me all these different questions. She was very nice, from the Dallas newspaper, and I told her, I said that, the ones who hate you the most are likely to be there every single day. They're the most loyal listener. And she was just shocked. She couldn't understand that.
We don't understand it either. But it's true. It's a fact.
Now, whose message is this? There was only a handful of anti-Neil and Bird call. Is that your message? Because I heard the entire program, and if you're going to try to sell me that, you can go sell a Brooklyn Bridge to Mike Disney, okay? Because you're dreaming. I heard every single call on the entire show from the time I went, yeah, a little? Yeah. Yeah, I think more like the John Holmes School of a little, yeah. This man is just dreaming. It's 18 past 11 at WIOD, Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hi, how you doing, Neil?
Great.
I just want to let you know I got my tape.
And by the way, Nick is right about one thing. He's not right about much, but that amateur psychology has got to go on that show.
Yeah. Hey, I'm 22, and I used to listen to you over on Zeta.
Really?
I'm an AM convert.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot of those perverts out there.
And, I won't miss a day. How about that?
Great.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Neil.
Have a wonderful life, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. Okay, it's another one of our young morons out there, and I don't mean that seriously. I don't want to, offend him, but I mean just in the words of some of those listeners yesterday.
Oh, they're just a bunch of idiots, young pinheads.
Get your wee Tina out and your effort in and have a wonderful day and go out and sit around the pool and talk about Aunt Sadie's operation and do something useful, okay? But get out of my life, all you miserable, nasty old farts. Or is it prunes? I forget. I don't want to steal anybody else's material. Okay, we do have an open line and date. If you move quickly now, 751-WIOD, 751-9463, anti-something on 4. Well, that's good. Hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Who is this?
Who are you calling?
I'm calling Mike Disney.
Oh, well, this is not Mike Disney. This is Neil Rogers.
Well, I certainly don't want to speak with Neil Rogers.
Well, that's great.
I was calling Mike Disney to complain about you.
Oh, in other words, you can't just turn it off. You have to make a complaint. Is that what you're saying?
I have it set on WIOD to wake me up in the morning.
Ma'am, let me say this. I know that's wonderful. That's wonderful, but at 10 o'clock, if you don't like this show, you can change the dial. We aren't going to substitute another program of your choice. No, we're not. It's not like going into a Chinese restaurant, one from column A.
You are entirely disgusting.
Absolutely.
And that imbecile that keeps laughing behind you.
You know something? Let me make you an invitation, okay? To go away.
I would not accept any invitation.
No, you're not listening, though. You said I wasn't listening to you. There she goes. She just another wonderful, and that was that was the quintessential call. All 4 hours of that yesterday afternoon, okay? Now, you can go ahead and call Mike Disney, but I got news for you. He ain't going to take the call. He's not going to bother with you. Bill Wise might take the call, but unlikely. They'll probably take a message.
You can't get the bill.
They're not interested, lady. Don't you understand? If you enjoy Mike in the morning, great. He's got an enormous audience, as I said before. But this frozen dial syndrome doesn't sell, okay? It just doesn't play. The idea that you set the dial. You don't set a radio dial like you set a clock.
You don't?
Like a big clock. You have one of those big old chime clocks, and you set them with a little You don't have to set your radio. I know it comes as a shock, but you can just reach over and turn that dial and twist it all around, or twist whatever you want, ma'am. Okay? Which I think is really what your problem is.
That's what I love.
Now, why would some moron be calling for Mike Disney on a talk show line, okay? Shouldn't that be very obvious to you, man, that by calling the talk show, you're not going to get to the general manager or anybody in management. Okay? So you can take your complaint and you can stick it where the moon don't shine, okay, lady? Go away. And don't give me this pretend. She's obviously listening.
Oh, yeah. Loud. But did you know
she was another hit-and-run artist, too. She couldn't handle it because she had no comeback when I asked her why it is that she couldn't change the station.
No, we've had this before. That is not an acceptable solution. Did you notice? That is no solution.
Yeah.
You can change the station?
Oh, see, that's the argument they have got to use for the fact, to cover up the fact that they're so embarrassing. I mean, can you ever imagine, flipping across on the cable, on TV, coming across a show, and of course, let's face it, every day there are hundreds of shows that you just despise that you would never watch. But instead of continuing to flip the dial, stopping, picking up the phone, getting the phone number, making the effort to call in, and tell them, I don't like that show. I want you to take it away. I want you to put something on that I like.
That's what it is.
I would tell you the men in the white coats would be at your doors so fast that you wouldn't know whether to scream or eat Chiquita. You know what I'm saying? Mobile. Is this a car phone or is this a joke?
No, this is a mobile.
Okay. That's what I thought I said. How you doing?
Is this Neil?
Yeah.
First of all, I'd like to say, God forbid, people, if you don't like the show, don't call, don't listen. Second of all, I actually have a great show. I love the bird. I love his laugh.
Great.
Okay, another thing I'd like to say is that the Cupid Car Wash over there on Hollywood 441, y'all are a bunch of douchebags. They're rude. I don't like them. What's that?
Great call.
All right.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
And a good life. And a good time. 23 past 11 at WID. I interrupted myself in mid-sentence because I have that mobile phone syndrome. I see car phone on there, and I don't want these poor suckers to have to run up a big bill or hang up. I just went right to that. It was worth it, though. He's a good guy. He's just a little overwrought. They probably ripped his car antenna off or something minor like that, or his phone antenna. Anyway, this Sunday, boy, a lot of people going to be out there, and
New from your phony company. It's yelling, and it's cheaper than calling.
Hey, Bill! How's the wife and kids?
Pretty good, Sam. You and Laura want to come over for dinner tonight?
Sure.
Okay, I'll get back to you.
With yelling, you get the same convenient features as calling, like yell waiting.
Oh, just a minute, Fred. My boss is yelling at me. Oh, Davis, you got that contract ready for tomorrow morning? Oh, yeah, sir, I do.
Try yelling, new from your phony company. Yell at our toll-free number for more information. Of course, it's cheaper to yell after 7 p.m. A 3-minute yell from sunrise over to Tamarack costs only $1. But you may have trouble getting through during peak yelling hours. It's the new easy choice from your phony company. Yelling. Yell out to someone you love today. Yell at our toll-free number for more information.
That's 1-800-YELLING.
Okay, Joe. Wonder if Lee Fowler's got that service, huh? What do you think? Lee is the only guy in America who doesn't need a phone. It's true. He doesn't have a phone. All he does is open a window. And even when he calls, like Steve in Dade County, he's living in Palm Beach. No problem. No problem at all. 11:28 at WIOD. Let's go to Miami. Hello.
Hey, good morning, Neil.
Buenos dias.
Good morning, Glenn.
Hi.
Hey, Neil, I waited a long time to hear Freeway and Spigot again. It was great.
Yeah, in fact, I got the cassette right here. If we ever had a place to dub this stuff, I'd have it on cart. We could play it all the time.
I taped
Did
it.
you?
Oh, yeah. I had it a couple of years back because I started listening to you back in April of '87. I haven't missed a show.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of things I don't understand, Neil. One, how can this guy that called yesterday on Steve's show, he was in his 20s.
Oh, yeah, the one that liked Alan Burke?
I got nauseated.
There's always got to be one, sir.
I got so nauseated.
There's always got to be one. But, you know, when you look at the demographic, here in the last trend, we were number one in 18 to 34, which is mind-boggling for a talk show. And Alan, if he had like 4 people under 100 listening to his show, is a miracle. So it goes to show you the degree to which all the vultures out there perceive this as an opportunity to rip me. So, you know, here was the one kid, 20, who's a moron, who's an old fart, but he's only 20, who loved Alan because he loved those guests. Yeah, Alan had some real uplifting guests on his show, like Dr. Votz Jr., whatever his name was.
I got one more thing. It burned me up when I heard it, and I don't get a chance to call. I'm getting ready to go to work now. I got to ride my 10-speed over to the beach.
Oh, yeah.
I work for Pantry Pride. Anyway,
oh,
still
good luck
in
to you,
business.
sir.
Yeah,
hey, you'll probably see me over there because that young lady, she sees me shopping over there all the time.
I was on 41st Street yesterday, Pantry Pride. Now I'm going over to Bow Harbor.
I shop there all the time. I drive all the way from Plantation. We don't have any supermarkets in Broward, so I drive all the way from Plantation to 40 just so I can run into that lady.
Well, I didn't see you there.
Esther.
Anyway,
I was there.
You got a letter a couple weeks back, and it really just burned me to pieces from the Adam Walsh Foundation.
Oh, yeah, nice folks. Huh?
Okay, I have never missed a show. I listen to you while I'm at work or whatever. And, you know, and I keep hearing these letters people sending and saying you've made passes or tried to bring in young boys over the airways.
Oh, yeah.
Never happened.
Trolling for boys on the air, so let's get it right.
It's never happened. It's never happened.
It's never going to happen, and anything that's said in humor, there are those who would like to twist and manipulate only because of their terminal homophobia and their bigotry, and they're not fooling anybody intelligent. I mean, when the only people they can fool are the ones who have never even heard the show, then what does that tell you?
And I'm not an idiot. I just finished my first semester of college. And I did very well. I got all A's.
Excellent.
And, Neil, this is the guy that used to call you from work release. I think you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
But I finished my first semester, and I go to Miami Christian College.
Wow.
Believe it or not.
Hallelujah.
And I love your show. Never miss it. You've never said anything to offend me. And, you know, them people, I don't, they can't shut it off. Trust me. They can't.
Oh, I know.
They hang, and I love to laugh. Glenn, keep it up.
Okay.
You guys have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
11:31 at WIOD. We have a couple of open lines now. A little crisis here on the show. One in Dade, one in Broward. We have now Dade, I guess. 751-9463. Should give them a lot more slowly, so that those intelligent people like that
pseudo-intellectual woman who wants Mike Disney because she wants to complain about my show because we're going to take this show off and put something on that she likes. Okay. Drop dead.
Boy, I'll tell you, we have just, it's like, you know, we went along there on FM, and we had, you know, our moments there. I mean, it was not a bed of roses, especially the last few months working for those people over there, but the callers, by and large, we didn't have nearly as much of this, am I right? I mean, not nearly as much of this. Most of the people seemed pretty happy, you know, pretty happy campers.
Yeah.
But when you get back on AM again, one of the liabilities is you have these frozen dial AM old farts.
I just can't turn the dial because the dentures keep getting in the way.
Well, obviously something is preventing it. It's not a solution.
Although we don't want to bash those old people because we don't want to get a reputation. Now, don't forget, Steve is going to be doing Condo Kid Part 2 this afternoon. I just mentioned that in passing, even though he does not attack prunes or old farts or people who are barbaric in their behavior and treat young people like cattle. He does not do that. 11:32.
I just can't believe it. I just can't believe it. I thought we were giving him a solution. Change the channel, but obviously that doesn't hold water.
No, don't you understand? Her dial is set.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Her dial is set on 610.
She gets up to it, so therefore, whenever you wake up to a station...
I don't think she actually moves. I think the bed is right next to the phone.
I forgot you.
And I don't think she can move far enough to reach the radio dial. That is probably the problem. And now, in that case, we do have a crisis. I do understand. For those of you who don't... Now, what we might do is we might send Spike out. Spike just kind of hangs out. He's not doing too much. And we'll send him out to the homes of people who cannot reach their radios to change the dial.
Great idea.
And he will personally lock it into any other station of your choice. The only problem is he's going to have to come back in the morning because then you'll want to hear Mike.
Yeah.
So he'll come back at around 5:15, and it's like having a paper route, and he'll make the rounds, and he'll just change your dial, and everything will be fine, okay? You expect to see him 2-3 times a day, maybe give him a little lunch, Toyota of Hollywood. Steve and I are going to be there a week from this Saturday. That ought to be a real picnic, okay? I'll bring the aunt. You said it. 11:36 at WIOD. And our next call is another mobile. Hello.
Hi, how are you, Neil?
Okay.
Okay, listen, I've been listening to you for a very long time, AM, FM, back to AM, and I think I have a solution for this poor lady whose dial is stuck. I find that it's very easy to get the dial unstuck. What you do is you take a cup of prune juice, you add a spoon and a half of Metamucil, you stir it up real good, you drink it. That moves you, and you have to run away from the radio. You don't have to listen to what's on.
I want to tell you something. That you may have just done her the greatest pubic service in history, because I don't think she's had a BM in at least 20 years, okay?
That's probably what it is. You see, they get very uptight when you have that pressure. See, that pressure is terrible.
Yeah, it'll get to you. It's like having an Excedrin stomach in your intestines.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Well, I'm very happy that Charhut is advertising with you. I'm a big fan of theirs. I go there all the time. I know all the people over there at Charhut. My name's Roman. And
Roman.
Roman, yeah.
You're not on the days of our. You're not on the Days of Our Lives, are you, Roman?
No.
Okay.
That guy's good looking. But anyway,
no, he's not.
All I want to say is that I don't always agree with you. I think a lot of people disagree, but it's okay to disagree. And when you get me really pissed, I turn you off.
Yeah.
But most of the time I listen, and I find, I take it in the tongue-in-cheek fashion that you hopefully intended, and I have a good time.
Okay, Roman.
Okay? Talk to you.
Good day.
Bye-bye.
11:38, 22 before noon. By the way, speaking of soap operas, and I've been forgetting to mention this, so Roman did another pubic service for me, because by that name, which made me think of Days of Our Lives, Holly is back on The Guiding Light. Now, that doesn't mean anything to anybody except those of us who are ancient, okay? Holly was one of the characters in the early years. For many years, she was Ed Bauer's girlfriend, okay? And I think they were married at one time. I don't remember.
Ed Bauer's girlfriend.
Oh, you know Ed Bauer? No. Well, anyway, and all of a sudden they brought the same actress back. She's been off that show for years and years. Did you ever watch Guiding Light, Yolanda? Never watched it? Shame on you. I know, you've been here all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, get a little TV in there. I'm telling you, it'll enrich your life tremendously. But anyway, Holly was one of the... No, see, I used to... When I was in high school, I lived right up the block from the school, so I'd come home every day for lunch at about 12:30, and that was when the soap operas were all 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a long time ago, okay? That's almost 30 years ago. She looks pretty good for a middle-aged lady, okay? She's got to be in her 50s, easy. And she's back.
Wow.
And it's so rare that they bring back the same actor or actress in a role. She came back to town, that's the storyline. And it's shocking. But you're obviously very moved by that.
I'm thrilled.
I'm sure that there are some soap opera groupies out there in this audience who can relate to it, who know who I'm talking about, and are just incredible. Oh, here's another hate call. Hello. Hello. Oh, no, didn't have the guts to do it.
I'll be damned.
Oh, that was her again? The same one? Now, why is she calling this number? Lady, please. Thank you, Joe. Lady, you got to understand that the tube has to go in first before he can start squeezing the bag. She's squeezing the bag now, and the tube is it's going all over the floor. If you're going to have a really productive prune juice enema, the tube has got to go in the proper place, okay? And you should have no trouble finding it. It's 11:40 at WIOD, and let's go to beautiful Belle Glade. Hello.
Good morning, Neil.
Buenos dias, amigo. How you doing? Are you in a good mood, sir?
Pardon me?
Are you in a good mood today?
I'm in a good mood.
Great.
I think I understand what's going on.
Are you happy, sir?
I'm trying to be.
Do you have a rich, full life?
I try.
Good.
I try. I think what's happened, I've been really thinking about it. Suddenly you're getting all these calls, Neil. You know what I think it is? I think it has to do with digital radio.
I got news for you. The people who are making these calls who are that old don't have no digital radio, okay? They got an old Emerson that you have to crank like a Model T Ford.
You're probably right. I was thinking maybe it's digital and they don't know how to switch the channel, and now when your show comes on, and usually that would go right to Geraldo.
Well, the good news is that Bill Wise is he just left. He's got a bag of sandwiches under his arm, and he's making his rounds. He's going to be switching those dials, and then tomorrow morning he'll be there at about 5:15 to get them all back on again for Uncle Mike.
Well, I think if they didn't want to listen to you, what they used to do was probably watch television. Now they switch on where Geraldo used to be, and they're getting the macrame channel or something because of all the switches.
Well, I like the macrame channel. That's one of my favorites.
Well, they're going into a panic, Neil, so all they have to do is they just turn back, and since the radio's frozen...
As a matter of fact, the other day they were macrameing something I didn't like, and I looked up the phone number in the directory, and I called them. I said, I don't like that thing. It looks disgusting. I want you to do it in pink. Come on.
Well, up here in Palm Beach County, at least they're getting more choice because the local talk show up here just announced their new lineup today.
Oh, boy, I can't wait for this. Wait a minute. Let me grab the edges of my seat.
Are you ready?
Okay.
Well, they've switched it around.
Which station is this?
This is WJNO, I believe.
Wow, the biggie. Okay.
Oh, are you going to love it? From 9 to 12, Mike Miller. 12 to 3, Lee Fowler.
Noon to 3?
Yeah. Now, are you ready for 3 to 6?
I don't think we can handle stiff competition like that.
Okay, well, 3 to 6 is the real winner.
Jeff Charles.
You got it.
Oh. Uh-oh. Well, I don't think Steve can handle that.
I don't know. With all that competition, I think you guys ought to be real scared.
That sounds like real stiff competition.
Well, I'm just real glad that out here in Belglade we can pick your station up, and we can't pick up JNO.
Really? Well, you know, that 1,000 watts and that rotted-out ground system on that AM tower out there in the lake, it's kind of rough, you know. But Lee talks loud enough, he don't need a transmitter.
That's the only time I can hear it. Now it's going to be kind of difficult. He comes
you can hear the Lee Fowler show from noon to 3 without a radio up there in Belglade, Okeechobee, even Pahokee. Lee is big in Pahokee.
Well, what they can do is, at noon they used to blow off air raid sirens. Now they'll just put Lee on.
And if you've heard the way Lee has been ripping off everybody else's act lately, he belongs in the pokey, you know what I'm saying? Have a great day.
You too.
Bye. He sounded, that was a little Lee Fowlerish laugh there, wasn't it? Now we know why Mr. Fowler doesn't call us anymore, because he's going to be a competitor starting on Monday. Oh, God. The pressure. When I think of those days when he was on there with his twos on Twos on Snooze. That used to be the theme of the station. Twos on Snooze on the Lee Fowler show. Once in a while ones, but mostly twos. He's pretty consistent. Oh, I gotta do it. I gotta do it.
How you doing, Lee?
What do you think?
This is for you, Lee.
Alan Box was a normal man with a wife, children, a summer home in Opelika, and a chain of radio stations. Well, normal that is until just 3 weeks ago.
Hi, honey. How was your day?
Unbelievable. Terminal. There's nothing but subhuman douchebags out there.
Alan Box is suffering from Neil Rogers disease.
Have you canceled the Miami Herald yet?
But, honey, we don't subscribe to the Herald.
Oh, now that's a cop-out. What kind of a lame excuse is that? Just say no to El Herald, sir.
Huh?
People afflicted with Neil Rogers disease have lost the ability to communicate like normal human beings.
What's the matter with you?
Blue-haired old bags from Pembroke Pines. You know, the yentas who say, "Oh, Neil, how can you say those nasty things?" Running around stealing sweet and low.
Can I get you anything?
How about those bag boys at Winn-Dixie? You know, it doesn't hurt to look. Incredible.
Neil Rogers disease, a growing South Florida epidemic. Please help us find a cure.
Honey, it's Friday night. You know what that means.
Hey, you know what I got? A 9. A 9! What's Lee Fowler got? 3 point something?
Send your tax-deductible contributions today in care of Hot 105.
Terminal.
unbelievable.
Yeah, that Lee is terminal and unbelievable. It's 11:45 at WIOD, but we want to congratulate Lee and Dennis Collins for the incredible job they did with WGBS and WNWS, man. They took two incredible facilities and turned them into parking lots in no time. Okay, we have an open line in Palm Beach. Wouldn't you know it? Just by coincidence. I don't think he's going to be calling us, but that evidently is part of the reason that we will not be hearing again from Mr. Fowler on this show, is that he's now going to be the competition.
You know, I saw I was over at GTR yesterday. And
Do you know how long Jeff Charles is going to last on the air? I'm sorry, but I just, you know how long he's going to last over there? About 5 minutes.
I can't believe he got a job.
You were at GTR.
Yeah, and they have a GBS coffee cup over there.
See, you're talking now, and that's bad, because you don't contribute anything to the show. All you do is cackle like a hyena and a moron. You never say anything.
I see. Oh, well, that's why the confusion.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I would try. You know, I haven't been successful. I would laugh even more today because it seems to upset them much more the more I laugh. But I'll work on that.
What is this message, man?
Uh-oh.
Roger Thorpe. Oh, from Guiding Light. Oh, Roger, he's not on there anymore. Is he? Ranieri's wife called and wanted to know who is Roger Thorpe. Roger was Holly's boyfriend, one of them, years and years ago, and he was a really bad guy. He was like a gangster type, and he kidnapped her or something. I don't remember, but that's a long time ago. But Holly was on there forever, boy. She was on that show with Ed forever and ever. In fact, no, they were married. That was Ed's first wife, and they got divorced, and they had a little girl who is now Glen Close, plays the daughter.
What are you talking about?
Glen Close is in the show.
No.
Yes.
Is
in the show now.
What are you That's not possible.
Okay. If that is not Glen Close, then my name is Roger Thorpe.
Wow.
Okay?
I have to
She
research
plays
this.
Christina.
She's a movie star.
Didn't Joan Crawford get in soap operas?
Yeah,
but
they leave to do movies. They don't stay.
You don't understand. It's it's a temporary thing. It's one of these cameo deals, for a short period of time.
I see.
I'm telling you, it's her.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
her
shocking.
hair is like blondish now, but it's her. Somebody will call in, okay? Is that Glenn Close or not?
All right. That's just
I'm
very
telling
surprising.
you, she's in Guiding Light.
Okay.
And that's one of the things they do to try to get, how competitive that's become now, to try to get big numbers.
I see.
Because the big battle there is General Hospital. In fact, didn't General Hospital have Rick Springfield on for a long time?
Sure.
And Richard Simmons was on that show?
Was he?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
Long time ago, he was on that show. Boy, you just, I don't even watch him anymore, okay?
In the area. I'm not big on this area.
I watch Guiding Light on the days when Alan Michael is on his show, because he's kind of an interesting guy. But I don't really watch soaps anymore. I used to years ago when I worked at night, because when you're home in the daytime, there's nothing else to watch.
I didn't know Alan Michaels was on that show.
No, Alan Michael, not Alan Michaels, okay? Alan Michaels isn't on any show, and that's the way it ought to be, okay?
Well, you're in an area...
He's on a new show called Crank for Your Life.
Mm-hmm. I don't know soap opera, so you're in an area... You're right, I know nothing about this area, so I shouldn't challenge you.
Okay, so see the audience here. You know nothing about sports. You dislike most sports. You know nothing about soaps. You did not see the Karen Carpenter story.
Correct. I'm a mess.
You're a wreck. You really are. You need to start reorganizing your whole life just to satisfy that segment of the audience out there that hates your guts.
Boy, do they ever.
And the thing of it that they despise the most is that a lot of the stuff I say isn't funny at all, and yet you continue. See, there you go. Cackling hysterically.
Well.
And if they don't like it, they can drop dead, okay? That's what he did. That's him. He can't help himself, all right? He was born with somewhere up in his brain, there's a little thing, and he just keeps cackling. There was a little egg in the family many years ago. I don't want to get young Neil out and have to play the whole thing, but when the egg hatched, there was a little mental thing there that had to do with cackling and gurgling sounds and...
Well, I don't know. You're funny to me. I don't think I should apologize.
Even though I am a terrible guy and a hateful person.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy, does that give me when they start that psychoanalysis, man, when they start in with that amateur analyzation of everybody and everything, and they haven't got any idea what they're talking about. God. And, of course, when we were at Zeta and on those rare opportunities when I would tune in, and amazingly enough, most of the time when I would tune in the afternoon here, I was the subject of conversation. Even when there were guests, I'd be the subject of conversation. And I would keep hearing Steve say, oh, well, he's such an unhappy person, and he doesn't have any life, and blah, blah. And except for a casual meeting at a Chinese restaurant, a couple of years ago. Stan and I were up there, and Steve and his wife were there. Except for that, I hadn't seen this man in years, or had any contact with him, and yet somehow he knew that I was this terrible, unhappy person. Of course, now that I have come here, I'm a happy person. Because now I have the honor of being trashed by Steve's listeners for 4 hours in the afternoon. Okay, it's 11:50. It's 10 till noon at WIOD, and we'll be right back. 11:52 now. Is that the message? Is that this call in Boca? Oh, they hung up? They disappeared. They flew away. Another hit and run. Yeah, I'm the devil. That's right. When my bald spot finishes disappearing up there, it'll be 666 underneath there. Oh, look at poor Cheryl, man. She hasn't eaten all week long. What is it, Thursday?
Boy, she ran out of here. Oh, geez.
Cheryl hasn't been eating this week. I know her mother listened to the show, and I want to tell you something. Seriously. This daughter of yours, she's got to start eating now. I saw that Karen Carpenter movie on Sunday. No, I'm serious. She's got the same syndrome. She is getting so gaunt. And she's got to do something about it. You have to start eating a little bit. Now, I realize I've been on this diet. We've got another 3-4 months to go. Then we'll start bringing in the food. There'll be a lot of fressing going on in the building, and we'll get you back to a normal size. But she's just emaciated, and I know her mom listens and is very concerned about her, and justifiably so, because she is just a shadow. We've only been here a couple of months. She's a shadow of her former self. That's okay.
Eat, my child, eat.
That's
eat.
right. S and fresh. Boca, hello. Let me say it again. Did I not say it correctly? Boca is gone. Okay, that's probably just as well.
Yeah.
Oakland Park, hello.
Yeah, hi, Neil. How are you?
Great.
I was going to tell you, I have a beef. I was at Pompano last night, and I love betting on the harness races. And I had a 6-5 shot with Bruce Ranger on the rail. Were you there last night?
Yeah, I had the horse, too, and he got locked in behind a dead horse. So what about it? That's racing.
What was he waiting for to go past that horse?
Well, first of all, if he pulled, he wasn't going to get past the horse anyway. I mean, I would like to have seen him pull, because I had the one horse, too, but he didn't have the horse to get out. That's the reason he didn't pull in the backstretch. He'd have been out in the air. He'd have been right where he finished anyway, nowhere. Because the race went in 59-1, and the one horse, if you noticed, the 2 was the horse. Didn't have much of a driver, but he got the lead. And if you look at his lines about, I don't want to bore the audience, but he was the best in the race, and he paid a hell of a price. And we got sucked in there on a stiff.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's true. And if you notice, that one horse, I don't want to sound like I've got it in my brain, but he only won one race in his life.
Oh, yeah, they were all dogs.
But the reason we all got sucked into it is because McDonald had been driving it, and now Bruce Ranger was on it. But Bruce has had a rough couple of days.
Yeah, okay.
But he'll be back.
Well, I feel a little better about it now.
Hey, listen, misery loves company. We all plunged our brains out, and tonight will be another night.
Okay, Neil.
Okay.
He did feel better.
No, he does feel better. And no, I did have the same horse, and he got locked in behind a dead horse. But like I said, if he'd have pulled, forget it. It'd have been all over. 11:55 at WIOD, and those lines are sizzling today, boy. They are flashing, and we know we got nothing but a bunch of dingbats and douchebags that call this show, but it's the best we can do, okay? We're doing the best we can. We can't, now listen, we can't all have these highfalutin intellectual shows where all the geniuses call in, all the mouth breathers. Boca's back. Hello.
Yeah, I'm back.
What happened? What happened to you?
I'm working, and I have to make some calls. You
know? Oh, listen. You know, it's a question of priorities. Now, you know this show is a lot more important to you than that job. Anybody can get another job.
Yeah, but you don't come over and pay my bills.
Well, Spike, listen, when Spike comes over to adjust... Listen to me, sir. When Spike comes over to adjust your radio tomorrow morning, he'll bring you a check, because everybody in the world's on the payroll here, so there's one more won't make any difference.
What time is he coming over?
About 5:15.
5:15?
Yeah.
I'll leave the door open.
Yeah.
In case anyone wants to rob me during the night.
Okay.
Listen to this. I'm reading Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
Singer Bobby.
Are you reading Rolling Stone or smoking it, sir?
Well, it's about good enough to use for kindling wood nowadays. But singer Bobby McFerrin is readying a book based on his hit song, Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Did they give the name of it?
No, but what I think's going to happen is now, when you see the commercials on Channel 4, they're going to offer the book with it. That way. No, see, because people in this town, they're a little stupid.
Hey, listen, I want to tell you the best way, there are all different versions of the spot, and there are a few different ones, but the main spot where Betty White is in there and all those different... the fun way to do that is mute the TV, turn the sound down, and watch it with the sound off, and you will swear that you've lost your mind. You'll swear that you've gone, on a spaceship to another planet.
Is that the compilation one? Have you seen that one with every single person that they've had, and they all mouth the words to the song?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. I saw it last night.
Oh, yeah. You mean you've only seen it once?
That's the first time I saw that.
Well, you must be living a real sheltered life. I see it when the set isn't even on. I see it. and I know Tom said that they told him a bunch of things yesterday, but I got news for you, boy. They're running like 2 a break again. Every chance they get, they're running 2 in the same break, and just enough to make you vomit.
And then at night, I see the too late, that the guy and the girl are on there telling you what's coming on at night.
That's just this week.
Oh, that's just this week?
Thank God. Just this week, yeah.
So they probably are a little upset that they have to stay so late and do that. They're probably not even getting paid for it.
Yeah, just like the people on the news that have to come back at 2:30 in the morning and do the news over again.
Yeah, well, I saw the Orange Bowl parade at 4 in the morning. I couldn't believe they were still marching.
And they won't let them do any updates either. They make them read the same damn stinking old news that they read at 11:30, and they're pretty ticked. Sally said she's going to revolt about it.
And make the same flub.
Sally is pretty revolting now that you think about it.
Can I ask you some advice, Neil?
Yes, sir. This is the show for advice and psychological counseling and amateur psychology. You came to the right show.
People that I tend to meet in life that I respect a lot, I'm a young guy,
Yeah.
have always said to me that people in this life or in this world really aren't worth it. You know, they're not worth getting upset about, or they're not worth having problems with it. Do you find that to be true?
I don't understand. I mean, you can make that blanket statement, but in other words, if you're going to worry about what other people think, that's definitely true. To hell with other people. If they don't like you, tell them to drop dead. You know, and just don't worry. But don't live your life for other people.
Right.
Trust me.
And the problem
Best piece of amateur psychology I can give you.
Thank you. And the problem that I think when people are calling in and complaining about your show is they don't have a problem with you. They really have a problem with themselves.
That is correct. You know, very, very unhappy people.
Their lives,
very unhappy.
Their lives are so unfulfilled, and there's really nothing exciting going on that they have to become like these omniscient listeners and get involved in something they have no control over.
Yeah, we have somebody in the building, I'm not going to mention her name, but we have somebody in the building who fits right in that category. A very unhappy person, unfortunately, and she takes it out on everybody else.
Yeah,
we understand that, so we just kind of laugh and ignore her. And listen, have a great day, I got to run.
No more material.
Okay.
Ciao.
Bye. Okay, listen, that was perfect. You ran out of material just as we ran out of time. So our audience may be a bunch of dingbats and morons, but their timing is excellent. Okay, April is here, I believe. Well, we got our lunch from Flores, and we're just tickled to death. In fact, we're discussing, because Cheryl was just in here, and I've been mentioning the fact that she wasn't eating, and the bird tried to slip her a little bit of his salami, and she said El Paso.
Yeah, he wasn't having any of it.
So she wouldn't have any part of it.
In a mighty twist, he wears his trousers way too tight, hoping that he'll score big tonight. He keeps his briefcase in his lap, or else you know that his face gets fat. All the girls in the office, they say, hard on, beg my pardon. Walk with an erection. The gerbils all run to him in fear. He goes to Provincetown to pen king and queen to every man. His Calvin Klein cut to the bone, make sure that he don't go home alone. He spends his winters in Key West, he thinks the Blue Boy mag is the best. All the boys in Frisco, they say, gay-o, 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 hey-o. Girls from Maine to Mexico are all obsessed with sex and blow. Like the cop who carries a big nightstick is just an extension of his wick. He busts the hookers on the block unless they give service round the clock. Goes home to wife and kids so nice, although he gets off on working vice. Those college boys are true to form, they try to lure chicks into their dorm. They're losing sweat from every pore, they drop their drawers, then they ask for more. All the girls from BU, they say hard on, big up, hard on.
Oh, he's eating on the air again. Oh.
12:09 at WIOD. We have an open line in Boca. Just lettuce, but lettuce makes some good noise, you know?
It does, doesn't it?
God, does that make good noise. That Boca number, 278-9463, 278-WIOD, just in case. Don't forget, Steve this afternoon has the Condo Kid Part 2. Jamie Swartz, the 9-year-old girl, had been kicked out of Viewpoint Condos, and her stepfather and mother, Marcy Esposito, Norm Kravitz, who are running for the Viewpoint Board of Directors on the compassionate slate. And I don't think that the other side, Augie and that group, I don't think they're showing up.
No?
I think they chickened out, yeah.
Mm.
So anyway, those of you who are disgusted with the behavior of those prunes and old farts at the Viewpoint Condos, the update is coming up this afternoon. Then they're having a big meeting on it tonight, and hopefully we'll resolve some of this.
Right.
And put an end to this barbaric behavior. Okay, Miami, hello.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Great.
Hello, Glenn.
Hi.
Just want to tell you a true horse story. It happened a couple of years ago. You remember Yonkers Raceway? Have you ever been up there?
Yeah, I've been there.
All right, there's a horse up there. This goes back 1970. The horse's name is Captain Dean. Del Ince goes driving him in the stretch. My friend's got about $100 on the nose to win. The horse comes to within, I'm going to say 100 yards, or maybe 100 feet of the finish line.
And dies.
Drops dead.
Yeah.
All right.
I've seen that.
It happened. I was with the guy. Next day, now if you remember in the older days before they had the computerized totes, they used to have win, place, and show windows, $50.
Yeah.
You have to go to one window.
Yeah.
He goes to the window to the next race. He's really distraught. He says, I want $100 to win on the 4. He says, I want $100 on the 4. The guy looks at him. He says, to win? He says, no, to live. True story.
I got news for you. I've bet on a few, including a couple last night. I don't think they made it.
Well, they're still running, right?
Yeah.
He also said to me, very famous words, he says, I'm going to the track today. I said, good luck. I hope you win. He says, no, I just want to break out even. I could use the money.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen,
very well put.
Have a good lunch. I'm out of material, and enjoy.
Have a great life.
So long.
11 past noon at WIOD. All right, here comes the moment, ladies and gentlemen, that you've been waiting for all of your lives. Probably a lot of people eating lunch now, too, right?
Sure.
And lunch is not complete without your teeth in a glass. Maybe another tablet, huh? That was pretty good for a start. Maybe a 2-tablet. Okay? Now, this is for those of you schleppers out there that can't even afford your own Effordent. What we're going to do every day is a public service of WIOD. We're going to be dropping these tablets in a fizzing glass, and if you hold your teeth close to the radio, by the end of 30 seconds, man, they will be like whisker clean. Okay? Trust me. Here we go. Nothing. Oh, does that smell good? You know what it smells like? Peppermint.
Does it?
Is this special
Peppermint flavor?
Peppermint Effordent?
Yeah.
Boy, that's good enough to drink. Want some, Rich? No, thanks. Boy, I'm telling you. If this does to your insides what it could do to your teeth, man, this is better than a barium enema, isn't it? Wow. 12:39 at WIOD. Here's good old Chucky in Dade. Hello.
Hi. How you doing, Neil?
Okay, Chucky.
You see how I called and defended you guys yesterday on
Well,
Steve's show?
I knew you were going to say that, but let me just say this to you. we shouldn't have to be defended because the entire discussion shouldn't have taken place in the first place.
Really, I'm gonna invent some kind of electronical contraption that will wipe WIOD off the dial for these old douche nozzles.
Well, evidently they need some help because they just can't quite reach that radio, boy. They're trying desperately, but they just can't quite reach that dial.
Yeah, it's like interference from their wheelchairs or something.
Yeah, from their walkers.
Yeah, well, Leo, anyway, listen, I'll give you my phone number. When you worry, call me. I'll make you happy.
Okay, Chucky. Good luck to you.
Okay,
bye. 12:39 at WIOD. Oh, boy, look at this. Speaking of chronic.
Hello?
Did he hang up?
Hello?
Neil.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Who is this?
You don't know me. I'm not a chronic first-time call, buddy.
It says Cox.
Huh?
It says Cox. This ain't Don Cox.
No, wrong man. But anyway, well, I got you. Listen, I got one question for you. But first, this moot point about this dialogue and discussion this morning. You said it. The caller said it afterwards. If they don't like the damn program, turn it off.
Yeah, get a life and find something else to do. That's right.
Unbelievable. Listen, quick question. I'll let you go. I'm going to do some gambling. I feel like plunging this weekend. I'm going out on the boat. First time, okay? Now, my buddies tell me blackjack's the best shake for my money.
No.
Guy told me the other day there's a new game out there called Caribbean Poker. They're paying 2-1. You know what
I don't know anything about poker, and I don't like blackjack.
What do you
I like roulette.
You like roulette?
I love the slots, but that's a sucker bet. You're never going to win on that. But roulette's pretty good. If you got patience and you sit there and you get a little lucky, and you know when to get up and walk away, roulette, you got a good shot.
That's the number one rule in any gambling. Know when to leave. Know when to fold them, like Kenny says, right?
That's correct.
Okay, Neil. I'm out of material.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Buenos dias. Good luck to you. 1246 at WIOD, an open line in Palm Beach. If you really hurry now, 655-9463. 655-WIOD. Oh, Cox is on 7.
Am I chronic now?
That would be an understatement.
Hey, Cox.
Hey, Bird, how are you?
Don O'Brien.
Yeah, really. Hey, Neil.
What?
Listen, Neil.
Don O'Brien.
Why are you shouting?
On CKLW, remember?
Why are you? No, not you. Him. He's shouting now. I think he's got Lee Fowler disease.
Yeah, well, Neil.
As soon as we put Cox on, every line was lit up. All 3 day lines just went out at the same time. We had every line on the board lit. We put this guy on. Every line in day just went out.
Well, I have that effect on people. Neil, I have an idea for your old farts.
Yeah.
Have them tune to me for one afternoon. I'll give them some audio adjustment.
Yeah.
I'll rattle their brain.
They can't listen to FM, Don, unfortunately.
Yeah, they don't know how to switch the band. They can't even switch from one station on AM to another. They think they can switch the band? You're really great.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I thought if we could give them like a little hour of power therapy, you know?
Yeah, they need an hour of, they need a power enema is what they need then.
Well, there's some people that think that that's what happens when you listen to us.
I know.
Anyway, I just thought it'd be fun if we had them tune over and rattle their brain for an hour or two.
Right. Well, I'm sure that my friends next door at GTR will be just delighted by inviting everybody to listen to Power 96. I'm sure they'll be just love that.
Oh, listen, McBee and Herman are all right.
Yeah.
They're not any problem.
You know that they're on tape? They've never been here since we came here. They're both on tape.
Well, maybe that's part of Spike's idea of how to do that, because...
Yeah, that's Spike, boy. In fact, he was here today for a couple of minutes. I don't know if he's still in the building.
Yeah,
well, executives have to have lunch, and it starts about 9:30.
And it ends about 4.
1:30, and then they come in, and then they got to go on coffee break. And
okay, Don. Well, listen, it's sure been a lot of fun.
Nice talking to you, Neil.
Bye.
Bye.
1248 at WIOD. We have both the Palm Beach lines open. Now, it's true. As soon as he came on there, boy, the lines emptied out like there was a bubonic plague on air. And nothing personal, Don. It's just the way they emptied. Open line in Boca, 278 WIOD, and in Palm Beach, 655 WIOD. I guess tomorrow being Friday, probably be the last day. We will be speaking in these hours to a lot of people in Palm Beach because Lee being on noon to 3, we can't handle that.
No.
In fact, if you miss, and you live in North Broward or Palm Beach and you can pick up JNO, you can be able to tune over there immediately at noon, and you'll probably hear most of it repeated on the Lee Fowler show from noon to 3. So it'd be a good way for you to catch up on what's going on here. Toyota of Hollywood would like to invite you to come by. 1252 at WIOD. We've got a mobile and date. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Okay.
How's the bird?
Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, Neil, Zeta's still trying to be number 3?
No, they're trying to be number 33, sir.
33.
I think when the book comes out next Tuesday, I think they're going to be getting real close.
Well, if they don't make it, I have just the person they can bring in, and that'll just put them right where they should be.
Yeah.
Big Wilson.
Oh, that'll do it.
See? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why no one else has grabbed him up in this market. Even WJNO has got the other three biggies.
Yeah, they got quite a lineup now, boy. Between Mike Miller and Lee and Jeff Charles, well, I don't think we can handle that.
Boy, I'll tell you, Big Wilson's next, so that's it.
In fact, Mike Miller's first show, he's doing a poll on which sodas you're drinking.
That should be good, and Lee Fowler will follow it up to see if the poll is correct.
Yeah, and then Mike's going to do a petition drive to get National Hockey League team in West Palm Beach.
That's too much. They're really going to do well up there, I'm sure.
Yeah, they're going to kick some serious ass up there. You can be sure of that.
Let me.
And with Jeff Charles working up there, if nothing else, they'll at least find out where the good drug supply is in Palm Beach County.
Well, it'll take some of the pressure off of Dade and Broward.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Let me tell you about the contrived debates that Steve Kane always has.
No, sir, I don't want to do that.
You really don't want to do it?
Not at all. No, I don't. I really don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it, and we've gotten almost through 3 hours without doing it, and I'm just not going to return in kind what I heard yesterday because it's Bush League. It just doesn't have any place, but have a wonderful day. 1254 at WIOD. We have an open line in Dade at 751-9463. Boca, hello.
Neil Bird.
Yeah.
Shalom Aleichem. This is Hago the Armenian, and I just want to tell you that those people...
What the hell is that? What are you Armenians saying Shalom Aleichem? What is this all
I have
about?
a couple of friends that are Yiddish.
Okay.
Those people out there, those douchebags who were picking on you yesterday, made their blood turn to whiskey so that 100 bedbugs get drunk on it.
Don't say picking on me. That sounds rather juvenile.
And dance the mazurka in their belly button. Made their enemies get cramps in their legs while they dance on their graves. May a child be named after them soon.
Yes. And may your first child be a masculine child, sir. It's 1254 at WIOD, right down the middle of the board, just all emptied out. And Dade, 751-9463. It's funny, we were going along fine. Don Cox called, and all of a sudden now we got a little problem here. In Broward, now, you know, it was the soap opera lady, and I don't want her to feel bad, because I enjoyed her call tremendously, and the amazing part of it is she actually responded to something that I said.
Yeah.
Now, that's a rarity.
Yeah.
See, another thing about these pseudo-intellectuals, well, Neil doesn't bring up topics. I used to do those heavy monologues, and I go on for 35, 40 minutes and get my blood pressure up, and the top of my head felt like it was going to blow off from high blood pressure, and I get all worked up to and you'd punch up the first call. Oh, you know that doctor you had on last week? What was his name? And that would be the first call, and it would get worse from there. There would be nothing in any way, shape, or form responding to what I said. And it was the same on Zeta. Remember? There would be those foolish days when I would go on and rant and rave and pound on the table once in a while just because I had something on my mind. And the lines would all get lit up, and you think, boy, I really got these people going today. And there would be not a single response. So at least the lady who talked about soap opera, maybe she bored a lot of you, but at least she responded to something I mentioned, okay? And she deserves several points for that.
That's true. You know, you're right.
Steve and his daughter. Now, somebody know the name of the daughter that was Ed's first wife. Oh. And I know you're really excited about that.
Oh, yeah.
See, the reason I'm doing this now is because you'll probably be begging us to do an hour or two on upstate New York tomorrow. By comparison. And maybe even a couple of hours on sports.
Yeah, well.
Mobile in Boca, hello.
Oh, Neil.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, right?
Good, you up there? How you doing?
I beg your pardon?
I say, how's things going for you?
Everything, it couldn't be better.
Great, that's wonderful. We like hearing from happy people, sir.
Well, I got
Which is why we don't get a lot of calls from Boca.
Yeah, Boca's a heck of a town, let me
It
tell
is,
you.
I know. It's got those great strip shopping centers, man. It's fantastic.
It's better than Oral Springs.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I have a little condo story for you. I think you'll get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
It's a famous condo called Winmore Village. Have you ever heard of that place?
Oh, yeah, once or twice. Yeah, once did an appearance there.
Yeah? Did you really?
And we had Wonder Mugs to give away. We had WINZ Wonder Mugs. And
Let me ask you a question.
Sarah, let me just tell you the rest of the story very briefly. They descended upon me like I was giving away $100 bills.
That's what I was going to ask you. Where are you attacked?
And when the last one disappeared, they disappeared just as rapidly as they had come. It was like the birds in Alfred Hitchcock. You know, all of a sudden they all descended, then they disappeared. And can I have a Wonder Mug? They didn't even know what they were, but they knew they were free, sir, and that's what was big at Winmore.
Anyway, this is a quick story. My parents used to live over in that wonderful development, and my father still works. And he came back to the condo there one day from work, and he went over to that community recreation area where they have the community pool and the hot tub and the spa and all that stuff.
Yeah, the community enema baths,
Yeah, whatever. Well, anyway, he jumped into that hot tub, and a woman ran over and said, you have to get out of there immediately because the sign on the wall says everyone must shower before they enter the hot tub. And he said, well, you know something, you're right, and I apologize. Next time I come down here, I will be sure to shower. And she stepped 3 steps into the hot tub, and she said, if you don't get out now and shower, I will urinate right into this hot tub.
Great.
Yeah, that's a true story. And lo and behold, she did. She urinated in the hot tub at Winmore, and I hope she's listening, because, lady, you're crazy. And my parents moved out of there just recently, and I'm glad they did. I used to hate to go there to visit
Now,
them.
let me ask you this question. Was that enough to get him out? Did he get out?
He was...
he probably warmed the water up a little more. Yeah, he probably stayed in.
Sure did get out.
How do you think they get those tubs hot at Winmore's, sir?
I don't... Old ladies peeing.
There you go.
I don't know. Anyway, have a great day. Bird, you're great. I love you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Quite a
story.
story.
How come all these people seem to be satisfied?
They have
No complaints.
No complaints.
They're not
no
hostile
trouble.
toward you.
Mm-mm.
The only sourpuss we had was one old bag today that called 2 different times for Mike Disney, who was calling on the talk show line to speak to the general manager. And other than that, everybody seems to be happy.
Well,
they have no complaints.
Those people never ever call you. So many of them, they only, that.
Oh yeah, they don't have the balls to say it to your face. They've got to find that opening that I talked about, and then worm their way in there and just rip the door open so that they can do their thing.
And if somebody invites them to do it,
oh yes, once somebody orchestrates that and gives them an opportunity to vent their spleen, they sure take advantage in this town especially. Well, listen, be that as it may, don't forget Steve has here at 106 at WIOD. We have an open line in Palm Beach as we start our 4th and final hour on a wonderful Thursday. We're just glad to be alive, ladies and gentlemen. Tickled to death, happy as a pig in slop. And that Palm Beach number, if you move real fast, it's 655 WIOD, 655-9463. Now, we have a list of guests that we have set up for the next 3 months. During the last break, we decided we probably ought to have some very, very heavy guests.
Now, is the Sink and Float lady on
Sink
that
and Float lady is
list?
the first one on the list. You beat me to the punch. She was the first one on my list, was the Sink and Float lady.
That's what I'm interested in.
And, in fact, we'll probably get a big tune-in audience at Winmore. Just the guy mentioned it just in the last hour. Probably get a gigantic call-in audience from Winmore when we have the Sink and Float lady on.
No question.
Then we're going to be doing a show on brain surgery for seniors, which is going to be very exciting. That's coming up a week from Wednesday. Let's start this hour in Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Uncle Neil.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Okay.
Listen, I was listening to your show this morning.
Well, that's wonderful, sir.
I was a little upset to hear how upset you were this morning.
Yeah.
But, I'm trying to be
okay,
nice.
You're trying to articulate. I understand.
I'm sticking up for you here.
Yeah.
I get a little nervous when I speak to you.
No question. A lot of pressure.
I just want you to know that you're the king. You're number one. You're the best. And I don't think you should let these douchebags get you upset.
Okay, sir. I'll take your advice. 107 at WIOD, and enough butt licking already, okay? It's, Palm Beach is... No, there it goes. It tinkles.
What?
See, you really can't tell for sure, because you know how they ring alternately? No, they really do, and I still haven't gotten used to that. One day, I guess, I will get used to that, but they, flicker a little bit, and then they stop. In fact, Palm Beach, when Palm Beach stops, it stops for good, like now. It flickered just a little bit, then it just stops. Because a lot of the people, when they're calling in Palm Beach, they expire. You're not cold, are you?
No, I'm okay. I can see my breath, but that's all right. It's not distracting me.
I just turned it up a little. Roger had it so cold. When I came in this morning...
Do I look cold?
It was, and I like it cold, but he had it so cold that you could have, that water would have frozen that's on the table right there.
I mean, because I'm trembling a little bit, do you get the impression
I
I'm
thought
cold?
maybe it was those calls that did it to you.
It was.
That abuse.
Yeah, no.
Okay, that Palm Beach line, let me give the number one more time, because we never give up. I don't know why, we just never give up on that line. 655 WIOD. Fort Lauderdale, hello.
Hello, Neil?
Yeah.
Hi. Have you heard about the Elvis contest from the All Elvis station in the Midwest?
No.
Oh, well, I thought Albie might be interested. They do it by...
I'll be sure.
Yeah, I'll be sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. They do it by,
See, it's funny the way you said Albie like it was one name. Somehow Albie and Albie Sure seem like two different people to me. Albie seems like he might be from Milton, Florida or somewhere.
Oh.
Albie Presley, that's like a distant cousin.
All right. Well, anyway, they do it by how you sound and how you look. That might be a problem for him. And, you know, and how you do the pelvis. You know.
The pelvis.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, have a wonderful day and all of that stuff, okay? 109 at WIOD. Now, you have, who's this note from? That's from you? And you're giving this to me like you're serious?
I just spoke to the man.
Steve said, well, what are you speaking for? What are you, like the mediator now? Steve said he stuck up for me on his show yesterday, did not hear the show this morning. Well, the last part is neither here nor there. But as I said, when you give people 5 and 10 minutes to bash and rehash and say basically the same thing over and over again and rip people, and then you say, but and you defend it, that doesn't do the job. Here he comes. He's walking down the hallway right now. And it just, I don't really want to rehash it because we did a whole traumatic first hour. Mm-hmm. It's 10 minutes past 1 at WIOD. We have an open line in Broward, 524-9463. We had a couple of people today, and they didn't even bash anybody, but it seemed to me that that's where they were going. And I just stopped them at the pass, and I said, have a wonderful day.
How about that?
But Steve just entered the room right now. He's got an emotional look on his face. He's washing his hands with holy water, so that means obviously we have a serious moment coming up.
No, what's going on? No. I walked in the door. Everyone told me you were attacking me or something.
No, I wasn't attacking you.
I
was
telling you.
So
what are you making trouble, Rich?
I was telling it. You told him I was attacking him?
Yes, he said Neil got on and was attacking me and
no, I didn't attack you. I responded to the attack on us that took place for 4 hours yesterday on your show. I responded.
Oh, we got a lot of nasty calls yesterday. What are you looking at me that way for?
Well, you got a lot of nasty calls because you let it go on. See, I really believe that if you don't, because I get, like we had one a little while ago, wanted to talk about your show. I said, I don't want to talk about it, and I hung up on it.
No, but I love that stuff. Well, I know you don't like it so much. I love it.
Yeah, I love it if I'm doing it to somebody like Alice, who's on another station. I don't like it when it's with me or with him. I mean, the calls about the bird yesterday it's got to an epidemic where it was like, they were all old. They're people we don't want listening anyway.
Yeah, I understand.
We don't want
that to them. I stood up to you guys. What are you angry at me too?
I didn't hear it. Luckily, I heard it all.
Well, I called you.
It was a great call.
What's their complaint about me, basically?
The topic of the show wasn't you and Neil. The topic, we were talking about talk radio. I saw this movie yesterday, and we got...
Yeah, but nobody saw it.
It's not open.
I know. But we were talking about the nature of the business and stuff like that.
The nature of the
business? I thought it was
not
a bad show. You thought it was a bad show?
I thought it was an abortion. Of course, you're against abortion, so you should be against that show.
Very against abortion.
But I just am not into that, and it's happened so many times. Maybe I'm getting to the point where I just, I'm saturated with it, because it's happened on a lot of shows, not just yours. Mm-hmm. Ernie did a show a few weeks ago.
Don't you love when people attack you on the radio? I love that. When I listen to your show, my favorite
on the other stations is fine.
My favorite parts of your show when people call up to attack me have always been.
But we don't let them do that here.
Well, but I mean, what I'm trying to say is I like it when they do.
Do you hear that on this show?
Yeah, you're a little bit now and then.
Yeah, call now and
but
again.
That's fun. Well, there was a string of them. There was a string of them. I remember I wasn't
because it became the topic.
Well, I don't want
It became the topic of the whole show.
See, whenever they have the opportunity,
and it
never
reminded
call
me,
here.
It was like I said this morning, it's like the old WGBS. I mean, every misfit caller that was ever invented.
Well, I feel a lot of these people, I think a lot of these people have to be straightened out because they don't understand.
They're not going to be straightened
what
out.
you do. Well, but
they don't want to be straightened out. They're all listening right now, including Cy, the insurance guy, who listens every day.
It's, as I continue to say, it's not, I don't do the show for the callers, I do it for the listeners. And I think that people are confused in many ways between what you do and what I do.
No, I don't think so. I don't think they're confused at all. I think that the people who hate me with a passion, and there are many of them, seize those opportunities to pretend that they're confused, or pretend they don't understand, or whatever it is. But the bottom line, in fact, Cy was a classic point, which is why I called right after that call, because he started out, if you'll remember, and he said, well, there's no question you guys do two different shows. Neil does one show, you do another show. But that bird, that cackling idiot, blah, 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 blah. And then by the end of the call, because Cy is a very emotional, angry man. I don't know what his problem is. He's got some problems. And he gets hostile and his blood pressure rises. And by the end of the call, that disgusting filth and he was talking about me.
I must tell you, quite frankly, I didn't know these kind of things bothered you. If they do, I won't let them go on the air.
Oh, they do tremendously. Because I think it's the poorest.
Then it will not
we're all eating from the same trough. And Rich is walking evidence of that.
It will we're all not happen again. If it bothers you.
Well, no,
I figured you liked it like I like it.
No, I don't.
I was wrong. Okay,
I like it if I hear it on another station.
Now I know. But let's
Because
get
I
to
like
the
the
serious
publicity.
thing that I heard on the way in here. You know about this business, just when you think you've got it made and everything's set.
That was the serious
Your career
thing,
is set. Well, I missed that part.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking
First
about the last
hour. We
hour.
did a monologue. For
I was
an
in a
hour, which
movie.
Bob Lassiter would have been delighted.
I went to see a movie this morning.
Oh, Debbie does Davy?
No, this is a thing you'd be sure to miss called the, I even
Mississippi-
blocked out the...
What was that one
the
last night?
James Wood movie. Oh, Mississippi Burning. Great. Fabulous
Sounds like a
film.
good idea to me.
Unbelievable film. Unbelievable film. But I forgot the title. I blocked out the title of this thing with James Wood this morning. It's opening today. Be sure to miss it.
Really
The
made an
upper, the
impression
pusher,
on
the-
you.
Oh, it was the way. If it hadn't been for the critics in the audience and their sarcastic remarks, it would have been painful. But anyway,
What is it, a show about zits?
No, it's a show about drugs, and James Wood plays it. It's awful. It's terrible. I got to remember the upper, the helper, the something.
They tell me, by the way, at Toyota of Hollywood, they told me the other day that they have a small new vehicle coming out that they're thinking of putting on the market that you can actually drive in James Wood's zits. You can actually get right on there and zip
You're
right
so
through.
crook. I have something serious to discuss
Yes.
here. Can I get to it? Just when you think you've got it made in this business, and all of a sudden I figure I'm
Jeff
swinging
Charles.
along, and all of a sudden I'm up against
Yeah.
Jeff Charles again. I tried
We're
so
finished
hard
with
to
Lee.
get away from this guy.
We're
I mean, this
finished
guy
with
almost
Lee, 'cause
destroyed my career.
All the people who want to hear our material from the previous 2 hours will be turning Lee on at noon. Those late risers.
I mean, but going up against Charles with that .000 whatever that he had.
But he
in
would have been a much
people
better
under
lead-in over
65.
here. You do know that.
Oh,
He'd have been
yeah.
a powerhouse.
Well, I told him, I said, but I said, if we can't get Jeff, we'll settle for Neil.
I think they probably ought to get a 6 over there, don't you? That's 2 for Miller, 2 for Fowler, and 2 for Charles.
But what
Not a
happened?
6.
Ooh, I almost said something would get me in trouble. I was going to say the best guy at the station. What's happening to? I mean, next to Lee, the best guy at that station, Dick Farrell. What happened to Dick? Is
I
Dick
haven't got
out?
any idea. I guess he's history.
He must be out. I can't believe.
Well, they
it.
probably started a big thing up at Century Village up there, you know.
And now you,
because they did the same thing to poor John Broward.
I don't know what you're laughing at. Now you got to go up
John.
against Fowler now.
I know. That's where we've already conceded.
God, just when we thought we had the whole market right in the palm of our hands.
So anyway, these miserable misfits that you had on yesterday, since you're trying to,
it won't. No, I'm telling you, it won't happen again. Anybody attacks you, I'll say Uncle Neil doesn't want to hear this.
Let him call
Oh.
here. Invite them to call
Oh,
here.
yeah, I'll tell him.
Because it's amazing, except for one old bag who is wonderful, who called today, who was calling allegedly for Mr. Disney, not for on the call-in line, which is generally the way you do it. Call the talk show line to get the general manager. And she even called a second time, but hung up before we could get her mouth to start moving. But other than that, everybody seems happy. They don't hate him today, and they just,
well, you've got these were just a bunch of malcontents out there, right?
That is correct.
Right.
The GBS.
Well, I'll make you a deal. I won't permit those calls on my show.
WOLD.
If you
I
permit
don't.
people to attack me because
Oh, I
like
should.
that.
I will permit them.
Please.
Well, tomorrow is
Please, I would like that.
You will like that.
I love it. I love it. I mean, you can defend me like I defended you.
No.
If you believe it. I mean, I wouldn't want you to gratuitously defend
Yeah, but it
me,
wouldn't be
I
any
mean,
fun doing that.
If they say something
If I
unfair,
agreed with them, it would make it even more exciting.
No. I mean, if you got to say what you really feel, like I do. How do you like that bum? I think it was this guy you were talking about. Who was the guy you were talking about? The insurance guy?
Cy.
Who kept saying that I was being nice to you just because you worked here.
Yeah, you've got to
really
see me every day, yeah.
In other words, the man was calling me a liar.
You've got to see me every day. So
Any
naturally
show
you have
about
to.
talk radio will turn into a Bash Neil Rogers show.
Yeah.
In
Well,
this
that's what Ernie did an entire show.
That comes
Ernie
with
did an
greatness.
entire show where I was a topic, and I didn't
The more
happen to
they-
hear it.
The more
Because
they bash you or me or whatever, that
See, it's hard for
better
me to
you
listen
are.
on Saturday morning because I don't have good concentration that early in the morning. And Ernie's very big into concentration.
I mean, how long do you think a
Can't.
show would last bashing Ernie? For like
It'd be
5
fun
minutes?
to try, wouldn't it?
5 minutes?
No, I can't sustain it. I've tried, but after the first 2 or 3 minutes.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Because once you see one death camp, you've seen them all.
Right, and once you've lost a sock, what can you say?
I'll tell you one thing. You ought to get Ernie together with that weirdo that you had on the phone, that wacko.
Which
what was his
weirdo?
name? The one from
Which
California, that Nazi lover.
Oh, right.
Boy, would that be a
What
show?
great programming. Why didn't I think of that?
And Ernie could say, "I've been there, I've seen him, I counted the body," and he would embellish it as he
would
went
be
along because he's got a wild imagination about that stuff. But
it would be incredible.
He is a real student of the Holocaust. I mean, not just a student, but I think he lives it. You know what I mean?
I'm toying with the idea of doing a show with Renee
In fact, when he
wife,
goes home and
Ernie's
tortures
wife,
his wife
and
at
Lori.
night, when he goes home and tortures his wife at night and turns on the gas on the stove, that's getting a little bit carried away. But he can't help it. He lives it, you know. You're having Lori.
Well, I was
Ernie's
thinking
wife.
this is still in the formative, in the.
Mrs. Ranieri.
Mrs. Ranieri, Mrs. Sochin, and Lori to find out what it's like to be married to talk show hosts. I thought that would be cute.
Well, why would you have Ernie's wife?
Well, this. I don't know what to say. How can you be so cruel?
It's 1:19 at WIOD, and on Saturday, the 14th of January, we will be at Toyota Hollywood.
I'm looking for D.
Boy, this is turning traumatic here all of a sudden. 22 minutes past 1.
Quite a day.
At WIOD.
Quite a day.
Boy. Poor Sharon. Everybody's just foaming it about. Well, anyway, moving right along. What happened all of a sudden? I don't understand what happened. We're all just sitting here. Okay, we got somebody on a payphone in Broward. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Neil. How are you?
Okay.
I have a wonderful story about old people. The other day I was sitting eating lunch in a Long John Silver's, and when I parked my new truck, I left plenty of spaces on either side of it. And behind me, it was late in the afternoon, behind me was about 10 spaces. There was no cars. So as I'm sitting there eating, this lady in this old big Ford decides to pull in next to mine and take off half the side of my truck. And while she does this, she backs up and starts to leave the parking lot. And then decides that she must have been hungry or something because she pulled back in and parked. And I went out there, and I said, why did you do that? You know, there's just 400 other spaces. Why'd you have to try and squeeze next to my car?
Yeah.
Well, I usually park in that space every day, was her answer. That's her private parking.
I think probably if she would, like, paint her name, you know, on the end of it there,
right, so
that'd probably be a good idea.
So I went out, she was like in Space Mountain somewhere. She really was, I don't know. So anyhow, she proceeds to walk right past me and go in and order her lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And get it and sit down. Now, there's about 4 people in the restaurant who saw her do this also. So they called the...
Now, how bad was it?
It's $900. You know, so
you were probably, like, infringing over a little part of her space.
No, because next to me, on the other side, was a wide handicap space. So I always park a little close to that, because those spaces are real big.
Yeah, you can drive a Mack truck in those.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, this truck of mine's only 6 months old, and it's a Bronco. It's still like $19,000 on it, so I'm trying to take care of it. And so the guy at the restaurant tells me she comes in every day, and there's a real pain in the neck, and she sits in this one booth only. And if somebody happens to be in it, she'll go over and ask them to leave.
Oh.
And she sits and talks to them.
Well, does she ever name on the booth, too?
I don't know. I mean, they wish they could get rid of this woman. So,
wow.
So eventually the motorcycle...
That's probably the lady who's also called earlier, got our 610 frozen on her AM dial, and he has one station, too.
Could be.
On her radio.
So, the policeman finally comes, motorcycle policeman, and she won't go out to talk to him. So he has to come in and sit with her, and she says, well, I didn't do it. I wasn't even there, you know. And meanwhile, my black paint's all over the front of her car, you know. And so he gives her a ticket and finally gets the information and the witnesses and all that. And she decides, well, thank God she had insurance, which surprised me to no end. And she said, well, I want to pay you. I don't want my insurance company to know about this. And I said, well, I'm sure you probably don't, because the people at the restaurant told me that she wasn't driving for long because they took away her license.
Wonder why.
And it's just, she casually, after that, got up and finished her lunch and drove home. And the only good part about it was she did give me a check the other day, and it was good. And my truck's being fixed now. But this lady does not belong on the road.
Yeah, well,
And
she's got a lot
the
of companies,
story is,
sir.
my grandfather's 91.
Yeah.
And 6 months ago, he got a 6-year license in the mail.
Excellent.
You know, and he drives, he's a pretty tough old guy, but you don't want this man on the road, and you certainly don't want to be, and how the state can do this.
Yeah, very easy. It's called incompetence, sir.
And these
It's called incompetent. Well, listen, I wish you the best of luck, and stay out of that diner, okay?
I know where her space is now, and I'm certainly not going to park.
Okay, good luck to you. 125 at WIOD. We have an open line in Broward. 524-9463. Miami, hello.
Hi, gang.
Yeah.
I was up at Sky Lake Mall a few weeks ago.
No wonder you sound a little depressed.
No, there was a movie there. It's called Dominic and Eugene.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. My mother saw it.
Oh, really?
In fact, my mother's comment on Rain Man, which infuriated me, she said,
It was a little long.
Oh, no.
That was all she had to say. The acting was good, but it was a little long. Like an egg timer. You know, when you go into a movie, it should be an hour and a half, and at the end of the hour and a half, a little alarm should go off to wake you up, and then it's time to go home, you know, and you killed a couple of hours.
Well, you're perfect, but we can't expect Mother Rogers to be perfect.
Yeah, right. I'm a perfect idiot, right.
Anyway, there was a song that was starting up while there was a pool room scene in Dominic and Eugene.
Yeah, I know. It's
And
the
just
I-95.
after the first few bars, there was, can I say this, an excited titter ran through the crowd.
Really?
Yes, they were. It was very recognizable to the crowd, and there were very few in the crowd that were under 65, I believe.
Uh-huh.
No, they were. They laughed along with the movie the way the rest of the people did.
Really? Of course, if I played that song, they'd be apoplectic, right?
No, very few are. You've got a violent vocal minority that are just. God knows why they love you so much.
Really?
Yeah.
And Glenn, you're semi-wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Have a good life, and don't bother calling us again, okay, jackass? 127 at WIOD. I don't have any idea what his story was. We have an open line in Dade. I think, did I say that? Or I'm losing it. Because it got very confusing there. It's like, I don't know what just happened. And Sharon came in, and she was visiting somebody in a hospital, and they wouldn't let her in, and Steve went running out, and they're just, there's no emergency. I don't want anybody to panic, but it was just strange, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we got through to Steve at all. I think he was rather oblivious. Am I wrong?
That's Steve.
I think he was a little oblivious to the point I was trying to make. It's not like I'm thin-skinned and I don't want people ripping me on air because it goes on all the time, but I don't think it's a topic for a show, especially on this station.
Yeah, I don't think you're right.
I don't think he got the message.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a gratuitous kind of thing, and if I don't want him to do it, he won't do it anymore. That's not the point. It just, and not only that, it wasn't in the least bit entertaining because it was the same thing over and over and over again. You know, just different variations on the same thing, but they all sounded the same, and it was basically the same thing. Either I'm disgusting and grotesque and they don't like me, or you're a cackling idiot and they've been listening to me for years, etc. Now, I don't know where they just came from. This is part of this AM crowd again that lost us for a year. But what about the year that I was on INZ in the daytime from 10 to 2 doing the same stuff? That's what I don't understand. I'm puzzled at that. Because you were there most of that time. We were doing the same kind of stuff, even wilder and wackier and whatever. And they just, it's like in their minds that never happened.
Have you had any substance on your show, Rogers?
Any what?
Substance.
There's a substance in this call, sir, but federal law prohibits us from naming it, okay? It begins with an S. 132.
Okay, Rogers.
Yeah. Okay, Rogers. Yo, better save Mr. Macho. This is one of those guys who goes down to the wrestling every Wednesday night and watches a bunch of pansies in tights running around, tumbling and grappling with each other in a ring. Mr. Macho. 751 WIOD in Dade. We have an open line there. If you move quick, they can get in where that last wonderful caller just came in.
Was he
Everybody
gone?
was in such a good mood until we had that little episode a few minutes ago where we rehashed all of this good stuff. We don't have any substance on this show, sir. We talk about nothing but frivolity and foolishness, nonsense, and that's what it is. And if you don't like it, you can stick it in your ear, okay? Or wherever else it might fit. My macho friend. Anyway, it's 1:33. April Wortham is standing by now. Now, we don't want that guy to tune out now because one of the things that all the macho guys do when April comes on with the headlines, they immediately grasp their crotch. And then they get up and they run out into the hallway, and then all the women who are crotch watchers will have something to look at. Okay, so anyway, April is here to stimulate the minds, the brains of our intellectuals in the audience, and we'll come right back. There's one that's a little off.
Happy day.
I think if I could cue, it would be fantastic to cue this up. Back to the beginning. I gotta wait for it. And then play both of them at the same time.
Good idea.
Of course, God only knows how much of this is on. Oh, 30 seconds. All right, we'll wait. 1:36, let's go to Miramar. Hello.
Hi, Neil.
Hi.
I'm a first-time caller. I met you at the ice cream shop there last year.
I'll be darned. The old ice cream shop that isn't there anymore.
That isn't there anymore.
Yeah, they really knew their business, didn't they?
There was no one in there.
Yeah, they had no clue.
They had no clue. Well, I wanted to call and tell you that I have enough substance in my life in other ways that I love this show because it is frivolous and doesn't have any substance.
Yeah, and we don't claim to have any substance. I mean, you know, if a show claims to be substantive and really tackle all the issues and there's nothing there, then you can rip it. But we don't make any claims to have any substance. This is escape. This is total escape.
It is, and it's wonderful escape. Everybody needs to escape.
I know I sure do.
The old people need to escape. They just don't know it.
Oh, I wish they would. Oh, God. I'll go home and pray.
And I'd like to say to Glenn that yesterday, I heard the show yesterday, and I want to say to Glenn that I identify with him. I feel like that he is like one of the audience out there, and he can respond to you and laugh like we would laugh.
Mm-hmm. That's it. I just laugh. He makes me laugh. It's not fake. It's not phony.
Well, I feel like that I really identify with you, and I missed seeing you at the ice cream shop last year.
Oh, I was there one time.
He was there one time, and he was inside, which was his first mistake, and he got squeezed by the pressure of the crowd up against the ice cream. What would you call that thing?
Was it cold?
Yeah.
He got squeezed up against the counter and just surrounded, squashed.
And was it cold?
Yes.
What, the ice cream?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Well, that's what I wanted to call and tell you about, that I love your show, and it's just an escape for me.
Thank you. That was a nice tinkle. And you didn't even do it in the hot tub. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
138 at WIOD. There's an open line in Broward if you move real fast now. 524 WIOD on your heavy substance station. We have more substance on this show, and if you got a big shovel, man, just you can collect it, okay? So we got that all straightened out. This Rich, man, he is just, maybe he ought to be like my bodyguard or something like that. Wouldn't that be unique? That would be incredible.
Yeah, that's the word. That's the word.
In fact, you know, when the girl from the AP came this morning, I thought I was driving in, and I heard Mike and Henry were talking about her being here. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun if you posed for the picture and told her that you were me? That would be tremendous. You could have been all over the country.
We almost did that once, right?
Yeah, we almost. This was when I was doing Hurricanes baseball for Channel 33 a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that was at the time when Rich bought up 700 pounds of food from Valenti's on the first night. And I said, you know, Greasy and I would love to eat, but not while we're on television, but everybody else pigged out. And I had been invited, and it never came off anyway, but I'd been invited by who was it from the Herald? Some reporter. Not Lucy Cooper, but some other restaurant lady from the Herald. She wanted me to eat at, where was it? The Round Table on Hallandale Beach. Oh, the Round Table on Hallandale Beach Boulevard. We were supposed to meet there. And as it turned out, it never materialized, but we had it all set up, and then Rich chickened out at the last never materialized, but we had it all set up, and then Rich chickened out at the last minute. But he was going to go there and present himself as me. And she was going to have a photographer with her, and they were going to write a thing about me and restaurants and a Rascal House and Hallandale and the old people and this and that. And it would have been one of the great put-ons in history. And, of course, you know I would just love to give a little shtuch to the Herald, you know, after what they've done to me over the years. But it just never quite came off. But there's always a next time. Port of Miami.
Good afternoon, Uncle Neil.
Are you coming or going?
Am I coming? Well, that depends upon which end we're talking about.
Exactly.
Anyway, it's just been a long time since I talked to you. An old former co-worker and a long-time listener.
Really?
Now you get one guess.
I don't have any idea who this is.
Stuart Elliott.
Oh, my God.
How are you kidding?
Well, I guess that answers that first question for me.
Now, did they used to call you Boy Wonder years ago?
75.
Among many other things, yeah.
Yeah. I remember when you were Boy Wonder.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how have you kids been? What an incredible show.
What does that mean?
Boy, I tell you, if there's a dumpster outside, I'd like to unload a few people.
Uh-huh.
But, no, I just called to say hello, and it's been a long time. And,
sure has.
It's nice to hear you kids up and around.
What are you doing these days, Stuart? I hope you got out of this business.
No, I hate to tell you, I got back into it in May.
Oh, God.
I'm working for the former Sunny Fox radio station.
Are you?
Yes.
Huh. Why?
It won't be sunny over there in the mornings anymore.
Well, I won't elaborate on that, but
no. Sunny will be all right.
I'm working part-time, full-time there.
Mm-hmm. Great.
And
you're like kind of the Johnny Dolan of Y100.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gee, thanks, Neil.
Well, that wasn't a knock. Johnny's over here at GTR. He's a good guy. He shows up everywhere. He just won't go away, you know.
Well,
he's a survivor.
It's only been 3 stations in 14 years. I mean,
well, that's pretty good.
It's all over the place, but.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's good to hear you and Glenn, and good luck with everything.
Thank you, Stuart. Cheer up a little bit, will you? It's not that bad.
I'll try.
Okay.
Enjoy
See
your
you later.
day.
Bye.
Bye.
Stuart Elliott. Now, he was also at the ice cream store.
Was
he came
he?
by, yeah.
Yeah.
With his brother, I think, or with somebody.
That's right. Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
So the last
right.
lady who called, we met at the ice cream store, and Stuart Elliott, we didn't meet him, but he came by the ice cream store.
Time
and I was
there.
about to say, and I got sidetracked, that the best promotions that we ever did were the ones that had nothing to do with INZ or Zeta. The best things were the ones that Stan and I did spontaneously, those 2 or 3 at the ice cream store. And it was funny because we just used to start, well, there were a whole bunch of reasons why we started going over there. That little girl, Michelle, was working there, and Brian and that other kid working there, who just happened to be fantastic young people who looked very good. And we've always said looking is not the sin, you know. And we used to joke about that. And then all of a sudden it developed into like a cult thing, and we started hanging out over there and meet a lot of the listeners. And then we announced formally, and I'll never forget that. Were you there the first night?
No, the second time.
The first night was in the rain.
Yeah.
There were legitimately at least
I was
2,000.
there. That was the second night because it was pouring rain the night I was
And there were
there.
at least 2,000 people there, and you were just jammed inside. I never did get inside that night. You couldn't get anywhere near the inside. And you were just surrounded, crushed up against the ice cream counter.
Yeah, it was like a stormy August night. There had been tornado warnings in the city. They had tornadoes, and it was just pouring. Horrendous night.
Yeah.
And I go up there to Lauderhill, and there's like 2,000 people.
I know, it was
in this little
unbelievable
shopping center.
Yeah, in a strip shopping center that's in receivership. It's dead.
It was
and the ice cream
incredible.
store has long since been out of business. In fact, most of the places in that plaza have been out of business. And then we did the one where we drove up in the Ferrari.
I wasn't there that night.
Dave drove me up in the Ferrari, and Beth was there that night.
Well, Beth was there
that
every
was
time.
quite an occasion, yeah. And she was rubbing up against Dave and trees and
Dr. Death Metal.
German Shepherd puppies. Dr. Death Metal was there. We haven't heard from him in a long time. Hope he's got his act together. And not that we're, complaining. I mean, we just hope he's well and he's out there. Doesn't have to call. We're sure he's fine. 144 at WIOD. But anyway, the ice cream store things were great. And
quite a night. Those were nights.
And it was chaotic. And I like that when it's a little bit chaotic. The only one that the station did that really turned out with a huge turnout was at the Broward Mall. No, not the phone place. No, you were going to say the telephone thing. No, that was incredible. Yeah, and also at the zoo. Remember that? And nobody could find us.
Right. Vividly.
And they were very hostile about that. The station goes, well, we had this big day out there. We had the concert and Richard Marx, and we had a big time. Blah, 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 blah. But we went out there and froze our buns off. By the way, I mean it was freezing, and they had us under this little tent, and they put us in a place where nobody could find us at all. And then the next morning, we had all these people calling in saying we drove all the way down there. When the Metro Zoo's like going to South America. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. And we couldn't find you. And nobody knew where anything was going on,
Remember the wind whipping through there? They had us under a tent.
Like it was yesterday.
Oh,
freezing.
God.
Absolutely freezing up on a little platform and under that tent. And then some of the people came by, wondered why we were a little sour that day. We were signing those pictures. By the way, those pictures that we were supposed to get. Okay, let's go to Lauderdale. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. This is my first time listening to you.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, what a shock, huh?
Yeah. A friend of mine listens to you every day at work.
Right.
And I wanted to call him and tell him that I'm listening to him. I'm listening to you guys, really, and you guys are a joke. You're great. But he turned me on to you guys.
And what is this guy's first name?
His name's David.
Oh, David. Oh,
David
David is a real douchebag. Yeah.
Great.
Okay, well, that was a good call. It's 146. I got it. 146 at WIOD. Oh, and I see she's probably out there confused, wondering why she's hearing that dial tone in the phone right now. And I realize it was your first time, okay? But there are certain words, that we would prefer avoiding, assiduously avoiding, like the one that you said that started with an S.
Yeah, we can't say that.
Oh.
There are occasions when we would like to.
Well, she was happy, and she was having a good time.
Oh,
She's also probably four sheets to the wind. Anyway, it's 146 at WID. But anyway, it's 150 at WIOD. And moving right along. What were we just talking about there during the break? Just before we came back? I had something devastating that I wanted to say. Okay, it must have been really important. All right, we got a payphone here, some really big information on big-breasted Oriental women.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay.
Listen,
Have you been doing some research?
I know, I'm sorry about that, but she, the hostess over there in Denny's, man, biggest breast you can imagine, and she's from China. I mean, seriously.
Really?
Yeah, for real, man. But anyway, it's a first-time caller, long-time listener.
Yeah, in fact, I was in that same Denny's a few weeks ago, and they even have a little thing in the menu. It says, under the chicken items, it says the biggest breast in town.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to check it out.
All right, so how's it going, guys?
Fantastic. We're having a wonderful day, and the best part of it is it's almost over.
No doubt, man.
Okay, you have a good one.
I like you guys, man. I don't care if Glen, cackles or whatever you do, man, because you guys make a good team. You know what I'm saying? And
Damn
keep
right.
up the good work, Bubba.
Okay.
Bye.
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 151 at WIOD. We just had a report on a Chinese, was she a waitress, did he say?
Yeah, at Denny's.
At Denny's in Hallandale, who's got enormous breasts, according to this young man who's been doing some very, very heavy research.
So to speak. Ponderous research.
Who is that lady that was out there? Because I can't see through.
She is Marcy. She is Marcy from the
that's
condo.
Marcy.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
she's a nice lady.
All kinds of stuff is breaking. Hell is breaking loose on this story.
Really?
Now, are you aware it was on the Today Show this morning nationwide?
No, I was not aware of that.
Yes,
But
I
it
saw a
is.
little
I mean,
girl.
we're getting more and more
USA Today this
exposure
week.
on it. Yes, I saw that. I saw that.
Today Show did a long story on it.
So even at the risk of calling people, stereotyping and calling people old farts, I would say that this is definitely an old fart story, and it's, the epitome of everything that's wrong in this community is that we have too many people of that mindset who want to be miserable and hostile and nasty, who have no heart, no compassion, who just want to lock themselves away with people of their own hateful mentality and shut the world out.
Well, it's an interesting, it's more subtle than that, because there are, you keep talking about how there are the old fart mentality, and then there are older people who are nice, decent
and there are
people.
many of those.
There is a real division at Viewpoint, and they have fielded a slate of compassionate people to run for the board in this election that's in the next few weeks. And we're talking to all the folks at the Viewpoint tonight. There's some really nice and compassionate people out there, and with any kind of luck, we're hoping to get the new slate voted in, and I think it's just a handful of stubborn old farts that are, that are on the board now.
The man said this morning on the Today Show, he said they're not asking them to change any rules
That's
or anything.
correct.
He says all they want is to let her stay there until they sell the condo.
That's correct. And also there is a thing in the bylaws that says that the board of directors, without threatening the adult status of the community, can vote in a hardship case to let one child in without endangering the adult status of the community, which is what we're trying to do, So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
All they're asking for is just a little understanding, compassion.
Compassion is the
Unfortunately,
word,
there's
really.
a whole group of people over there who just can't find it.
That's
That's
exactly
the
right.
rule. That's what the rule says, and
Oh,
we have to
yeah.
enforce the law.
They-
And once we make the first exception, we'll have a whole bunch of noisy little kids.
Oh yeah, they talk to these neighbors and saying it's not our problem just because they have kids.
That's the rule.
We don't care.
Can you believe it?
Oh,
but there are a lot of listen, I've heard from more and more of the people that live out at the Viewpoint that are real nice people, and I think we've got to hope they're in a majority. That's all. We're going to go out tonight and try to talk to them and talk reason to them.
Okay, that's coming up at 2. Jamie will be here, and Jill and Lynn, and Marcy is here. Unfortunately, the other side has declined to appear. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, they won't come on the show. They won't talk to
Augie.
Sharon on the phone. Awful Augie is just in hiding.
It was fascinating, though, then the day that you were given the number out, and then we gave it out the next day, that they were using that same old ploy about, well, our lawyer is going to be calling you and stop these people from calling here, and so on and so forth. People have a right of free speech within reason, as long as it's not harassment.
Exactly. I'm hoping this thing will. I don't usually get involved to this degree in these cases because usually it's a no-win situation, but I have real hope on this case that something can be done.
Excellent. Okay, that's coming up at 2 on the Steve Kane Show. Let's go to Hollywood. Hello.
Yeah, hello, Neil?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've been studying this question of the people that have a radio that only has one station on it.
Yeah, the frozen dial syndrome, yes.
Yeah, but actually it's true that...
In fact, Frank Sinatra is coming out in a movie with Henry Fonda pretty soon. It's a sequel to the China Syndrome. It's called the Frozen Dial Syndrome.
Well, that may not
in which
only...
he's going to be brainwashed into listening to WOLD. It's kind of like a spin-off on the Manchurian Candidate. It's tying all those in together.
Well, talk about nostalgia. But during the 30s, the Nazis issued a radio to the people in Germany which only had one station.
Yeah.
And my guess is that those radios are picked up at a fire sale around here and are being sold to the old people.
Yeah,
at
I wouldn't
flea
be
markets.
surprised. And if Ernie finds out about it, he's going to really be ticked, I'll tell you.
Well, you guys are
We'll do
doing
an
a great
expose.
job. I'll let you know if I find any of those radios. And you're doing great commercials. One other thing. You do commercials for Char Hut and for Nutrisystems?
That is correct.
Well,
Not at the same time.
Well, yeah, that's what I had in mind, because I can hardly get into the Char Hut at Hollywood now. It's so crowded with your listeners, and I see a lot of stylish women there carrying the Nutrisystems brochures. Does that tell you something?
Great. Well, see, if you lose enough, you can afford to go over there and cheat a little bit every now and then,
Well,
right?
yeah, I'm going to have to hit the Nutrisystems before I try to get in that door again.
Okay. That's what Fat Rich is doing it for. He tried to get into the door in Hollywood and couldn't do it. And there was nobody in the store either. But that's another story. Now, is Linda here in the building?
I haven't seen her yet.
Is Linda on the phone? Okay, let's go to Miami. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been to the ice cream store. I do hang out at the baseball card shop at Homestead, though.
Great. Well, Steve will be down to see you, no doubt.
I have time for an Ernie story.
Sure, anything you like, as long as you don't bash him too hard.
No.
I will make an exception in his case.
A couple weeks ago, Ernie started the show right after the cop killings and spent the first hour just pouring his heart out on this subject. Just gun control and this and that. And the first caller he took was a little old lady.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Hello, Ernie? Did you ever solve the toilet paper?"
Yeah, which fit right in, no question about it.
Ernie was speechless for the first time in his life.
Well, see, that's called from the school of wishful thinking. A lot of those old farts would like to need the toilet paper. Most of them have no use for it because they haven't had a good BM in months, in years, some of them. But, they can always hope.
Well, it happens to everybody.
Where there's life, there's hope.
Well, good luck, best wishes, and Happy New Year.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, that's Ernie's motto, as a matter of fact. Where there's life, there's hope. And believe me, if you listen to his show long enough, you'll find a little bit of each. North Miami Beach, hello.
Yeah, Neil, you made the Hallandale Digest, page 5A. Neil Rogers' most toned-down, top-rated talk show. By Karen Conway.
Terrific. Well, it's interesting because Karen never spoke to me, but from what I understand, there are things in there which we can't discuss on the air. But it's always good to have it in the Hallandale Digest because that's one of my favorite papers.
So many people see it.
They used to send it to me every week at the. It was just another one of those things that clogged up the mailbox. Thank God they haven't discovered we're here yet, or else they don't have the postage to